Hello and welcome to the RWBY podcast. I am Jean's useless weapon upgrade at Mediocrity 4.
I'm still trying to decide if Momoko, Mururin, or Piramizu are the GOAT artists. I don't know which one is yet. I will soon have figures from all three to figure that out. But right now, I am Arthur Watts' mustache. I am Dude.
And I am the stocks administrator of Junkyard Industries. And I'm just currently stuffing my face because we've been starved for food and for RWBY content, so that's why we're doing these podcasts. Have fun.
I have just returned from jester gooning in my Mogwar with the ASU frat leader. I'm Coop.
The lore implications.
So, yeah, we're talking about Volume 4 this time around, and let it be known, I was super on board with revisiting Volumes 1 through 3, because we never really did podcasts on those. Like, yes, we talked about pretty much everything there is to talk about within the context of other things, but not really like an episode by episode thing. We did episode by episode podcasts for most of this volume, and so I was a little more hesitant to do volumes 4, 5, and 6 retrospectives, and I am still not really sure if I want to do the 7, 8, and 9, even though we 100% are. It's a little out of my hands on that. It's just that those are much more recent volumes. But this volume was still 10 years ago. You know, coming up on 10 years ago for this volume.
I'd look at my hand and I turned to dust. Thanos?
And whatever else might be said, positive or negative. This is the most important volume for us here on the channel, because it is what launched this channel. It is what launched our friendship here on the RWBY podcast and the Mediocrity 4 channel and High Powered's Discord server. And so it'll always have a special place in my heart, much like whoever took your virginity. Speaking from not my experience, but yeah, so let's just start off with the elephant in the room, which is Monty. This is the first volume without Monty. This is the first volume in Maya. They switched engines here, and boy, does it show.
Yeah, it's rough.
It's rough at this point. I think it was the right decision in the long run, because especially once we get to later stuff, like it looks... Media and I just tortured ourselves by watching through Volume 5 for the next, podcast on this. We did that yesterday. Very interesting Valentine's Day, by the way, because that's when we watched it. And... Not kidding. And the character shorts looked really good, but you could see it was already... Certain things were starting to get better by Volume 5, but it still wasn't even sorted by then. And yeah, there's certain things that look better. Here you can see some jumps from Poser, but yeah, it's definitely rough at this point. And then once we get to like Volume 9, that's when it like really pays off. So it is kind of a slow process, but...
I mean, it still looked good to me. It's just, you can definitely tell. It's like, no duh. It's like new engine.
Yeah.
Most of their animators are just kind of like not there. But overall, it was like, I still enjoy... It was like still like a good starting point for them.
The overall feel to me of it, and this has kind of like remained the same, is that it's not as fast as it was in the other engine.
Yeah, it lost its intensity.
I feel like that was kind of, Monty just kind of having to like put in deliberate like a bunch of blur effects that were like artificial and not made like from like frames and stuff, just to kind of get that feel to like work around the limitation. A lot of that didn't kind of like carry over, at least not in this first part. Some of that kind of got implemented in later. I don't know. The whole style of it is very different, and jarringly so. I get why people would be hesitant about liking it. Personally, if I recall, like when I first looked at Volume 4 after having seen the first 3 volumes, I was actually not all that disgusted by it or anything. I didn't really think about it all that much. I was like, this is different. It was weird, but I wasn't really focusing on the animation too hard, so long as they had some good fight scenes in it, which they did. I would say that.
Well, like they start off really strong too with like the with that teaser, with like just the straight up RWBY teaser.
Yeah, let's actually just jump into that. The RWBY character short, which they released at like RTX the summer before Volume 4 dropped. Man, animation wise, this does not compare to the Red trailer, but there is a lot here that I like better than the Red trailer from Volume 1. Mostly just context, like we just have a lot more context for what kind of person RWBY is at this point. This is much more indicative of what kind of person she is, more so than the Red trailer. It's got an actual plot, like she's walking through the woods, she sees the village being attacked by Graham, she takes the initiative to go and stop it, she gets in a cool fight, she does some cool moves, some of which she never uses again for some reason.
Never again.
And some of them she doesn't use until like Volume 7 and 8. Like this is the first instance of her using her scatter ability to like split herself around obstacles or split herself around like enemy enemy projectiles. Like there's a Grim throwing like bricks at her or throwing like a stone slab or something at her, and she like splits around it and then reforms behind the Grim to pop it in the back of the head. She doesn't start doing moves like that again until volume 7. It's one of those things where they clearly had an idea of what Ruby's powers actually were, but I feel like they were kind of half-hearted about how far along she should be in discovering how her powers work. A lot like the Red trailer, where they made her probably too proficient in the Red trailer to where it doesn't really make sense for her to even go to the school, and they had to try to like walk back her skill level. Volume 1 episode 1, she literally like punches a dude through a window, and then volume 2, she can't even like shove a white fang person out of her way. Like they keep giving her these really cool abilities and these really cool displays of her power, and they're like, no wait, she's too young and inexperienced to have that level of combat ability. We gotta walk that back, and that's disappointing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really like the whole training thing they try to implement because they always implement it poorly. As much as we do complain about it being a school when everybody already knows everything, the fact is that everybody does already know everything except Sean. So you kind of have to go with that if that's what you've set it up as. You can't be like, oh, they don't get X, Y, or Z yet, so they got to learn some stuff. You can't have that happen. They're clearly already perfectly fine fighting as is. There's no need for any kind of training montage or anything.
I'd love this character short though. Like I think, yeah, it's not everything ironed out, but man, in terms of like the moves she does and everything and the setting and the blocking, honestly, I think it looks so good. Like RWBY has so much fucking aura. She's doing so much aura farming here. It's like back to Red trailer and volume 1 levels of that, which is really cool. Casually stabbing and riding the Nevermore I thought was really cool. Landing on the statue and her hood falling down. Like the choreography is really good. The Berengal is really cool. Another thing I noticed is like she moves a lot faster here in this trailer than she tends to do in the actual series. Faster than she's gonna move in episode 1, which is weird. Like I like it when she's faster. I don't like how RWBY seems to slow down as the series goes on. That's something that bothers me. I don't enjoy that. To me, like when I'm watching this, I rated this character short very highly, and I'm thinking, why does the rest of the series and the fights even not feel like this? Because people will say like, oh, the fighting went down after Monty died. It's like, I don't completely agree with that, because like besides some of the rough edges of switching to a new engine, like they did a lot of cool stuff in this trailer, and I do think overall it's really, really good. And I think a decent amount of it, at least like the speed and everything in terms of fighting, is better than most of the fights we get from here on out. And I don't know why, especially with RWBY. She's better in this trailer in terms of fighting than she is throughout most of the rest of the show. And I don't get it.
Remind me how long there was between Volume 3 and Volume 4.
Like a year.
We're still doing yearly releases.
The only significant hiatuses RWBY has taken were between volumes 2 and 3, where it's like 18 months, and volume 9 and 10, where it's like 4 years and counting.
Yeah. So yeah, they were trying to do a similar release. If they would have just like cooked longer to where like the short was just actually actual quality throughout the entire Volume 4, then I think it would have been way better.
How long was the short? Like the exact length of it?
It's like 5 minutes.
So that's a pretty decent length for like a fight scene in RWBY. So I was thinking, maybe it was because the other fights in the volume were like sort of drawn out more and stuff like that they didn't get the same sort of treatment. But
that's like, I mean, it's good logic. Kind of my point is like, it's not really the case, huh?
Yeah, and a lot of, plus like this was like mostly just like an actual, one and done, just like straight up combat kind of like short with a little bit of narrative. But like the main thing is why it feels slower for the entire series is because they switched from just like, hey, these are like high octane intense fights to more like, hey, these are more narrative fights. You're telling a story in these.
And I don't mind narrative fights. I think they do have some very good, I mean, we're going to talk about two, I think especially two very, very excellent narrative fights in this volume, at least, maybe more. The thing that bothers me is like, why does RWBY slow down specifically? That doesn't make sense. There's no reason for that to happen. You can compare how she moves in this trailer versus how she moves in literally the first episode of this volume. And it's very different. Why?
I think, in terms of that, there's a difference between, like, having a guy shout off something relatively short in the middle of the fight and having to, like, stop the fight to have an entire conversation in the middle of it, too, That does happen in this volume.
I get it, Vegeta. We just have to hit it harder.
That's fine, because that's a very short statement that generally suggests what it is that their next plan of approach is. It's not an attempt to get somebody over their childhood trauma so that they can help you beat something.
I don't have a problem with any of that. I just, again, my point is like that. doesn't have to do with anything to do with RWBY moving slower for no, like, I can understand her pausing in certain places or whatever, but it's literally like when she's using her semblance, for example, she doesn't move as quickly. And it gets even worse later on.
It feels more like a portrayal thing. Like, it's not even necessarily like an animation, or it's certainly not a writing thing, because I doubt they write that many details into the fight scenes, Miles and Carrie. But, like, it's a portrayal thing. I actually have a lot of problems with the way a lot of shows portray speed in particular, because they'll have characters move, like, quote-unquote, faster than light or whatever, but then the environment and the characters don't behave in the way that they should be with people moving that fast. This is something I've always praised My Hero Academia about. I think My Hero Academia has some of the best portrayals of how fast and strong these characters actually are. Like when All Might like throws that uppercut and it like clears the clouds and like changes the weather. Or season 7 when Todoroki and Ida are using their abilities together to move like 5 times faster than sound, and you actually like see the Mach cones. RWBY is supposed to be like supersonic speed, like faster than sound at the very least. And yet the only time we've seen like a Mach cone with her or like a sonic boom with her is in volume 2. So like it could be like, oh, we're just seeing her moving super fast but it's slow motion so that we can follow it as the audience. But like she's not creating these vacuums the way she used to in some of the other fight scenes, like in the volume 2 food fight, where she was like created this vacuum of energy that sucked up all the tables and cans and cracked the wall when she stopped. We get a little bit of that here with her busting through the window when she's fighting the Barangel. But like we don't really get anything like that. It's just she kind of scatters into like this red cloud and just moves regular speed, and the environment doesn't interact with her at all.
Yeah, come to think of it, like the buildings and stuff in this volume were very static. I guess technically like the backgrounds kind of were, but there were also a lot of objects in the environment and a lot of things going on in the first 3 volumes to where it kind of distracted you away from that more. Whereas the characters are kind of like set on their own a lot more. There's not as many models moving around, I guess, here, to where it probably focuses your attention on that a little bit more than you would have in the other ones. That could be it.
Ready to move on to the actual episode premiere?
Yeah.
Next step?
Yeah.
Meanwhile, in the Legion of Doom, starts off with the villains. A villain introduction for Salem proper, along with Hazel, Watts, and Tyrion, who are all going to be of equal importance in this volume, I swear. We find out the Cinder can't talk.
I like that they did this to start, though. I thought this was a cool way to start this volume off. There's a lot of cool little things and touches in this section. Even though, yes, we have problems with, the baddies in this series, we know, but there's some cool shit. Like, I do love how they're keeping consistent with Emerald. Like, she clearly is the one who wants to be there the least. That is very obvious. And that's consistent with the character she's been the entire time. Even Mercury's a little grossed out. I like that touch. That makes all of this seem way scarier. The fact that Mercury, who has been so unfeeling and calculated and like just doesn't give a shit about anybody, almost psychopathic levels of not caring about people, probably is arguably a psychopath, right? Maybe not quite Noah level, but maybe close.
I mean, yeah, there's a difference. Like, there's definitely a difference between, like, yeah, I'm a cold-hearted bastard. Yeah, Rico Suave with it. On an annoying scale. Killing people. Yeah, using Grim. Yeah, we all chill. Then you're in the middle of the fucking grim wasteland, like actual like pools of darkness and evil and just terrifying shit. You're like, I think we fucked up.
Yeah. Okay, this might be a little too much for me. Okay, this
is. I found my limit.
Well, I like that they show that, like him specifically being kind of freaked out by it. That's like, oh, that tells the audience more that this is like fucked up shit, right? So I really like that. I think that's great. We got, of course, Emerald being super horny for Cinder, as usual. That's always funny to me. I do love Watts always giving Cinder shit constantly. We talked about that again in Volume 5. It's always fucking with Cinder, and it's hilarious. But I do think like the conversation they have just kind of ends up being pointless in this little intro. That's the thing I kind of have a problem with.
I mean, what was their conversation about? Remind me.
Just what they're all going to do. It's written like a first draft. It's important, like, okay, Watts is going to be going to Mistral, Hazel's going to be with the White Fang, Cinder's going to be sticking around for her recovery, Tyrion is going after the Spring Maiden. The reason why it feels like a first draft is because they start talking about RWBY, and then they start talking about other things, and then they circle back around to talking about RWBY after everything else is done. And it's like, probably should have lumped that all in. Like, do we really really need to know that Tyrion was on the hunt for the Spring Maiden, and now that he's getting called off on that in order to go after RWBY? Probably not. Like, it probably would have just been better if whenever Hazel was like, we've dealt with their god before, how is it that Novice beat one of us? Then have, like, you know, them address that with the whole thing that gets retconned later, which is that it's because the Maiden powers that Silver Eyes are strong against Cinder. That gets retconned later, and it is a retcon, and it's stupid. And then have Salem be like, hey, you know, to make Cinder feel better, how about Tyrion go after her? You know, have Tyrion bring the girl here alive so that I could, like, grimify her, whatever it is she's planning on doing with RWBY. And then we could, like, cut to literally anything else other than what they end up cutting to.
Having said all of that, I'm not even really certain that it was necessary to have any of this conversation at all. I'm with Dude on this one. I'm not really seeing the point here. Could have just had Tyrion show up later and be like, yeah, I'm working for Salem and she wants your ass. That would have been fine with me.
That would have kept the villains more mysterious. I think what they really wanted to do here was show, like, a dysfunctional camaraderie with these villains. I opened up this section by talking about, like, meanwhile, the Legion of Doom. That's obviously, like, a Super Friends reference. Super Friends from the 60s. That was, like, Hanna-Barbera's equivalent of Justice League back when they owned the rights to the DC comics. And the Legion of Doom was their main villain group. It was, like, Lex Luthor and a bunch of other guys. It would always just kind of cut to them. And the only reason why it ever did was to show the juxtaposition between them and the Super Friends. You know, like, Batman and Superman are, like, legitimately good pals, and they all like the Flash and Wonder Woman, they all get along. Meanwhile, Lex Luthor, Joker, Black Manta, Cheetah, they're all, like, talking over themselves, always at each other's throats, and it's supposed to, like, juxtapose that. But, like, there's not really anything that this Legion of Doom is being juxtaposed with, because we never get the Illuminati on screen altogether. Like, we still have not seen Headmaster Theodore of Shade Academy. So it's like, this is supposed to be Salem's Cabal. This is supposed to be her, like, anti-Oz Illuminati, and yet that's not really what they are. They're just a bunch of jackasses who we have to fight sometimes.
Yeah, also,
over half of them are teenagers, too.
How dare you call Cinder a comrade to him? Dysfunctional, yes, but she's not a comrade.
If that was the point of it, just to show that they are kind of weirdly working together for no good reason, then yeah, okay, yeah, sure. I would say it did do that, but it's kind of like, again, a lot of them aren't really doing much this volume, so I don't feel like there's much to glean out of this other than their office relations. That's pretty much all you can get out of this.
Yeah, the only thing probably worthwhile that it establishes is that Cinder's fucked up. But, like, that doesn't even really last, and again, the reasons why she's fucked up get retconned later on.
She got nuked by Silver Eyes. It retcons why the Silver Eyes were able to nuke her, but it didn't retcon her getting nuked by them. So I guess the writers were like, that's not that big of a retcon.
There's worse things that happen even in this volume alone. So
yeah, that particular one is relatively minor in terms of a lot of stuff that RWBY has done over the years.
So remind me how they retconned it.
So later on, RWBY's Silver Eye abilities only work on Cinder because she has the Grim inside of her. Even though it is pretty explicitly stated here that it's because of the Maiden powers.
I would have, had it been me, just said, hey man, the Silver Eyes are mysterious as fuck. We don't know what they nuke. Sometimes they nuke stuff that seems like they shouldn't be nuking. We don't know a lot about this. And just leave it at that. That probably would have been better.
One of my theories for a minute there was it has to do with the God of Destruction, because we know from Volume 6 that magic also comes from the God of Destruction. That was one of his gifts to humanity, as was free will. Like, free will and destruction were the relics that he created. Magic was his gift to humanity. And because he's also the guy who created the Grim, it makes sense on that level that the Silver Eyes would just work on both the Grim and the Maidens. But then we don't really see them affecting Penny in Volume 7 when she is also in eyesight of RWBY when she blasts Cinder. That's when the retcon was, like, finalized, was at the end of Volume 7 when that happened.
Or just have it, like, blast evil things, just evil in general. If you're evil, you get blasted.
Like a spirit bomb.
Yeah, because I remember, like, I had, like, I was, like, calculating. I was like, oh my god, hey guys, big brain theory. What if it's like, just effective against main powers? And it's like, no, it's Grim. And it's like, there was a whole debacle. I got shut down there. And they made it canon in Volume 7. All right.
So then it cuts to Oscar for some fuck-ass reason.
Oh boy, that was not great.
Our introduction to Oscar Pine. And he doesn't do jack shit shit in this scene. So it's literally just him. We get his name. No, I don't even think we get his name in this. He just wakes up, does some chores, and then it cuts to the next thing.
Yeah, that's it.
I still remember there are only a few scenes in this series where like I remember watching it for the first time. Right. I think actually there might only be 2 specific scenes that I remember watching for the first time. One of them was Yang getting her arm cut off. And I remember how crazy that was to me and how hyped I was for that. And that just like changed so much for me. And then the other scene was the introduction to Oscar. And I think that's it. I really don't think there's anything else that I remember that clear, like how I felt when I saw it for the first time. Even the destruction of Nora's character, I actually have hated it more as time's gone on. So I don't remember my exact initial thoughts. But I still remember when I first saw that scene, I was like, fuck. They're adding a new main character. They better not be adding a new main character. God damn it, this better not be a new main character. I'm gonna be so fucking mad if they just randomly adding a new main character at this point. And that's exactly what they fucking did. Yeah. And I was like, I know, like, oh my god, if they're adding a new main character right now, this is gonna be so bad. You don't do that because it's so hard to do that properly. It is so hard to add a new main character partway through a series when you already have an established cast of main characters. In a show where they're already not very good at introducing characters, okay?
Or giving their main forward shit to do.
Yeah, and I was like, oh my god, this is only gonna go poorly, and it went even worse than I thought it was gonna go. So I still remember, like, just the existential dread of like, oh no, who is this little fucking cunt? Oh, god damn it. And I was right. And I hate that I was right about that. I was like, no. They wouldn't have spent that much time on him if he wasn't going to be main character. Like the way they did everything so slowly and deliberately and showing his life at the time. I was like, oh no, this guy's going to be important. God damn it. It's hard to add new characters. Like the best example I can always think of is Toph from Avatar: The Last Airbender. But that episode was one of the best episodes in the entire fucking series. And she was teased beforehand in a much better way. And there was set up a need for her beforehand. That was another thing. And she's given a very strong character and personality and places to grow. And they do things with her that they never do with Oscar. First of all, they say why they need her before she even joins. Aang is looking for an earthbending teacher. He needs somebody to teach him earthbending. And he's having trouble finding one. And then they also have a little thing where she's like in the swamp thing. They kind of show her there. And then they meet her and she's amazing and he wants her to teach him. And she's a fucking asshole. And and that's fun. Like, that's the other thing. She's got a fucking personality. I mean, Toph is the reason I started watching Avatar: The Last Airbender, by the way. Because I wasn't into it at the time when my siblings first started watching it. And then I watched an episode, I think it was The Library, where she was like being really funny, like making fun of her blindness and fucking with everybody. I was like, oh, that character's funny. I'm gonna go back and watch this show. That's what got me into Avatar: The Last Airbender. It was Toph. And then they also give her a nice tragic backstory. They explain the whole thing about her blindness and why that sucks and how she was able to overcome that to a degree, but how her parents still treat her like shit. And the heartbreaking moment where she says, dude, I'm like 12 and I've never even had a friend. Like, that fucking hurts, man. That gives you sympathy for her, and that gives you a reason why she goes off and makes her decision to fucking leave. She wants friends, she wants to feel needed, and she doesn't really like her parents either. That's multiple reasons to do what she does. We never fucking get that from Oscar. We don't know why he does what he does. And they do all of that with Toph in one goddamn 20-minute episode. And they did it, technically, some of the other stuff they could have skipped. That's how fucking efficient they were. That's how you do shit like that. Most shows don't even bother with that. Like, it's not just that RWBY did a bad job with this. I mean, they did one of the worst jobs ever with it, but a lot of shows don't do a good job with adding new characters partway through a series. I mean, that's why people joke about that being a moment where people jump the shark, and so many TV shows, especially sitcoms, make jokes about it. The Simpsons, very specifically. The Itchy and Scratchy and Poochie show. That was a very specific, joke where they make fun of shit like that. And I don't rate this episode that low. It's still I put this episode as an 88 out of 100 because it's overall still good. Can't rate that scene as because if I was talking about the impact of it, that episode would be a 0 out of 100 because Oscar is so bad for the rest of the show. And Ozpin even worse. That was one of the things I talked about with media when we were watching Volume 5. Oscar isn't the worst part about Oscar. Ozpin is the worst part about Oscar. And I want to sympathize with Oscar, but we still don't know his motivations. We still know nothing about him. That started with this scene. They don't say say anything about him. What are we wasting our time just seeing he's a farm boy? You could tell us that in 2 seconds. Why are you trying to be all cinematic instead of actually telling us shit we need to know and giving us actual characterization? Like, they just waste so much time in this show with a show with such a small budget and not a lot of time. They waste so much of the time that they do have.
I wonder, like, this is an absolute worthless scene, but I wonder how much of it was Rooster Teeth purposely being like, hey, let's do something that's going to drum up conversation for a few weeks, because this kid does not show back up until, like, episode 4. And, like I say, he doesn't have a line of dialogue. We just see him doing some farm chores. And I do remember there being quite a few theories. The only one I remember being a theory at the time, and the only reason why I remember it is because it's fucking hilarious in hindsight, is that he was going to be the Spring Maiden. People were, like, dead set on, like, Oscar actually being a girl, just being a flat-chested young girl who was actually going to end up being the Spring Maiden, and that Team Ranger were going to run into her, and that she was going to become, like, a fifth wheel tag-along type character for a couple volumes, and then, you know, fulfill her plot purpose and then leave. Boy, do I wish that was right.
Yeah, I would have preferred that. The audience was cooking at that time. Damn,
Yeah.
wish you guys were right. I didn't even know about that, by the way, because I barely ever interact with the RWBY fandom.
It's literally the only thing that makes sense if you just take this episode within the context of everything that came before, but outside of the foreknowledge of everything that comes after. They were also talking about the Spring Maiden. They weren't talking about Ozpin. I mean, they did just to confirm, like, oh yes, Ozpin is totally dead, guys, we promise. He kind of is, in a fashion. Cinder did vaporize him, that's confirmed, but, like, they were also talking about the Spring Maiden in that same scene, and then they cut to this kid. It's like, okay, that makes sense. It makes more sense than Ozpin still being around to hijack the plot.
I'm gonna keep harping on Oscar and Ozpin as we go through this series because we just rewatched volumes 4 and 5, and I've done a couple of rewatches in this past, 6 months or so with this show. So I've been consuming a lot of RWBY recently. And Oscar and Ozpin, like, they're still terrible. They really are one of the worst aspects of the show, especially in, like, from volume 4 onwards, because, and again, I don't want to hate Oscar. Aaron Dismuke is such an amazing voice actor. He is so good. It makes me want to like Oscar even more. So, like, there's so many, like, that alone, my bias would be towards liking Oscar for that reason, because, like, we just watched in volume 5, his performance, like, when he throws his voice as Ozpin, is so subtle and fucking brilliant. Like, he is amazing. And so I should like him. I want to like him, but they don't give us anything about him. He is literally just a nice guy. That is the only thing about Oscar that exists. Like, he is not interesting in any way. And that starts here. That's why I'm harping on it here, because he has no character traits here. We know absolutely nothing about him at all. There is absolutely nothing. There's no ambition. He says that he always wanted more. That's literally something he says, like, I always wanted him to be more than a farmhand. Okay, then show us that, or have him say it earlier. Don't have him tell us that later. And then in what way? What else did you want to do? There's just nothing there. And I want anything, like, please, sir, can I have some character? And I have nothing with him. And it never changes at all. Like, the most he does that makes him interesting later on is he resists Ozpin in some degree. But that's not even a character trait. Like, I would prefer him being kind of an asshole or something. Negative character traits are still fucking character traits, and you need negative character traits. He doesn't have any positive character traits either. He doesn't even go out of his way to do anything heroic or super nice throughout the series. He's not really sacrificial, really. Doesn't do anything super good or even kind of bad. Like, there's nothing. Absolutely fucking nothing. And that is so fucking infuriating. Why do we have to have this character just wasting space and that's a big problem with this volume. As much as I really enjoy this volume, like, so far, it's the highest rated volume. I'll say that right now for me, both subjectively and with the numbers that I added up through each episode. And that is with, coming up in a while, the worst episode in the history of the show up to this point.
Let's actually move on, because we still have half of the first episode to talk about, because most of this episode is Team Ranger.
Yeah, we'll talk about Oscar after that.
We gotta put an Oscar mute button on dude at some point.
It's like, when dude's just like,
that's fair.
Dude's like, I'm gonna harp on Oscar this podcast. Like, bro, you've been harping on Oscar since inception.
For 10 years! 10 years of this channel!
It never goes away, though! It never gets better, man!
Kid in, like, a chair chained up in your basement just to beat on him all the time. It's like,
Kid's living rent free.
He deserves it.
Yeah.
Team Ranger are out in the wilderness, and they reuse the same block of wilderness for a lot of the scenes in this volume. Gotta save on your budget somewhere. Might as well be here. They're having this stupid-ass argument about, like, what the team name should be. I'm on Team Ranger's side. That just sounds better, but there was a debate, like, between volumes 3 and 4 within the fandom about, like, what the team name should be. This just, like, kind of reeks of Rooster Teeth being too into their own fandom, being too into their own base, because, like, this is not the kind of debate an actual legit writer would have written for the characters. This is the kind of thing that only happens on internet forums. Quite a bit of this show is written like it's written on an internet forum, but that's neither here nor there. So, anyway, they're doing some odd jobs, and probably my favorite thing about this volume. Like, yes, the Yang stuff is great, yes, the White stuff is great, but honestly, my favorite thing about this volume is Team Ranger, and just the fact that they have something fucking going on. They're actually, like, doing things. They actually have, like, forward momentum. They're on a journey. They're getting closer and closer to their destination with each time we cut back to them. They're doing odd jobs in between to pay for their lodging and food. We know that they've been in this village for, like, some unspecified amount of time in between volumes, which also helps, like, the weird time skip of 6 to 8 months. That feels like 6 to 8 months for Team Ranger, feels more like 6 to 8 days for everyone else, but like Team Ranger, they've obviously been going at this for a while. They got some weapon upgrades. We have the weapon upgrade for Nora that makes her even more busted than she already is. Jean doesn't have his weapon because it's in the blacksmith getting his upgrade.
Quote unquote.
Everyone has a new outfit. Ren's hair is longer, and they're doing these odd jobs, and it's against a Grimm we hadn't really seen before, although we actually had, and I think that's neat. I think it's neat that they're bringing back ostensibly one of the first 2 Grimm we ever see, the Geist. We didn't know it was the Geist at the time. That was revealed later on in supplementary material in the White trailer. It's the same type of Grimm, but it's a completely different spin. It's now like possessing a bunch of boulders and a tree in order to create this giant golem that is more or less impervious to damage because it's not part of its true body, so they have to like actually think and find a way, very much like a video game boss, where they actually have to strategize. And yes, the strategy they come up with is very simple, very easy. It's just hit him harder to break off his limbs, and then shoot him when he comes out. And that's exactly what they do. Everyone kind of contributes to this. We get Sugar Rush, Ruby and Nora's team-up attack in order to shatter the Grimm to pieces. Rain spins like a top for some reason. He never does this move again, where he like just spins in the air, and Jean gets hit in the nuts. That's funny. They also pepper in some humor here. It's fun because Jean is really good as a comedic character, honestly. And we get all this in efficient order, and it kind of lets us know that, yes, this fight is nowhere near as cool as, say, the Players and Pieces fight. The animation isn't as good, the choreography isn't as good, structure of the fight isn't as cool, the setting isn't as cool. It's just in a barren clearing in the middle of the woods, rather than on the falling bridge from the Players and Pieces fight. But it still works for what it is, and it shows that, like, these characters have grown, and they're taking on jobs, and they're acting like real huntsmen now.
It's a good scene. That's the thing.
Well, they're not real Huntsman media because they're not officially licensed yet. As you recall, that does not happen until, I believe, Volume 6.
Until Volume 7.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Forget it.
Yeah, but they're still more competent than the actual professional huntsmen we see in this volume.
That's another reason I still gave this episode a high rating, is like, it is nice to see them doing what they're doing, actually strategizing, working together. The Team Ranger dynamic is fucking fantastic. Hate to say it, it's better than the Team RWBY dynamic. I think that's one of the reasons why I think Volume 4 is so good, in my opinion, is that the dynamic between Team Ranger as a whole, I think is the best team dynamic we get throughout the entire fucking series. Genuinely. So, it's better than the dynamic we have in Volume 6, even, and it's better than the dynamic we have in Volume 9. It's so good. Like, they just fit well together. They bounce off each other well. They're good together. Like, it's a great group, honestly. And that you can see that here starting off. And so that is something that I really enjoy. So that does help. They coordinate well. It's a decent fight scene. Is it the best? No, but it's still solid. This is more of like a story, or like there's a point to this fight as well, which is nice. And I think that works. And yes, it's great to see like the one weapon upgrade that actually matters throughout the entire series. Boy, like I thought we were going to get more actual useful weapon upgrades when we saw Nora's, because Nora's, it's such a good, obvious obvious weapon upgrade, and as Media said, makes her even more busted than she already is. Why do they never give anybody else any like actual good weapon upgrades? It's so frustrating that they do this one so early on in the series relatively in terms of upgrades, and then we never get another good one. But again, in this episode, it's good. It's more of a problem later on, not a problem here. So it's a good episode. I like it a lot.
I'd go so far as to say that Volume 4 Team Ranger is like the 95 Bulls of RWBY teams. Like, this is the top tier you get with RWBY teams. You're never getting anything better.
Jordan, Pippin,
and Rodman.
Yeah, that is absolutely true. I agree with you on that.
I love it when RWBY's just being an asshole.
Yes.
I miss my little gremlin. I miss my little troll of a RWBY.
Again, RWBY.
Clearly, Nora and Ren have seen the sweater before. They've seen Jean without his armor. They've seen him in his pajamas and stuff. Like, RWBY is not as used to it. So she's just giving him so much shit over this. Like, what? Did you send a bunch of box tops or something? And he's like, yeah, like 1,000. She's just laughing her ass off on the floor, giving him shit. Like, and then, not in this episode, it's actually in the next episode, I believe, where Nora throws shade at him too. Where RWBY's like, don't you have like 5 sisters? And he's like, 7, actually. Like, and Nora's like, that explains a lot.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, again, actual character traits, negative character traits are still good. RWBY being a gremlin dickhead is great. That's fun stuff. This is not even just harping on Oscar. Like, there's other characters that could use some more traits like that. You know, it's not just, there's other characters that suffer from that problem.
I kind of want to use this to harp on something not RWBY related. One of the reasons why I am on the side of defending RWBY as a show is for moments like that. Even though I wasn't necessarily laughing at Jean's hoodie, it was whatever to me. I like that the characters will, like, give each other shit, because that is something that is missing from a lot of modern shows. People have kind of pointed out that a lot of modern writing here in America is written as if the HR department is right next door. A big example of this is Sony Marvel's Insomniac Spider-Man games, where no one is allowed to say anything remotely mean or negative to each other unless they're a villain. It's like, no, that's not how friends interact. That's not how people who like each other interact. It's stale, and it just turns everyone into being generically nice, and this is a problem RWBY has never suffered from. And Volume 9 proves that with the, like, smiles all around. Good for you, by the way. We're all so happy for you. And even, like, earlier volumes, like RWBY mocking Weiss, just keep moving. Like, RWBY, a lot of people accuse her of being like, oh, she's just generically lame. No, she the fuck is not. She is a troll. She is a clown. She is a goofball. She is a lot of things. Generically nice is not one of them.
She's not at all, which is something that's great about her, honestly. Something I really, really like about her character.
It is a good thing to have a little bit of friendly banter between friends so as to enforce that they are friends, because friends do that, you know. Not that I would know. I don't have any of those.
Damn, what are we?
What are we, weebs?
Oh, I also wanted to throw in the blacksmith. Pretty cool, unnamed NPC character. I think RWBY kind of struggles a lot with giving the NPCs a personality, but when it does strike gold, it does strike it hard. And Volume 4, I think, might actually be the best example of them managing to pull that off with a lot of these NPC-type characters. Wrapping up this episode, we do get a little bit of Weiss. I like the way it cuts to that. It makes sense as a transition, because Nora's like, hey, you know, things, the Schnee Dust Company, that we have plenty of supplies for the rest of our journey. Kind of bums RWBY out because she's thinking about her bestie who is stuck in a palace, and then that takes us into the intro and then into episode 2, Remembrance.
And this is a banger episode. The characterization for Weiss is fantastic. The interaction she has with Whitley is fantastic. Like, what about Mother? Oh, she's already drinking in the garden. You know, that says so much without having to spend a lot of time saying anything, right? That's them actually being efficient with characterization, and like that characterizes Willow, but it also characterizes Jacques, and it also characterizes Whitley, and it also gives characterization for Winter and Weiss too. Like, that says so much about every character. It tells you an insane amount of information in 2 lines. Fucking fantastic. You never liked Winter, the way Weiss reads that line. Very good voice delivery by Cara Eberly. I want to give credit for that too. And tells you you how manipulative and fucked up Whitley is. Like, there's a lot going on in this scene already. That is fantastic. Seeing peppy, confident Nora again, having just finished going from like volumes 8 and 9 and then going back to, the old original stuff from the series. Like, God, reminds me why Nora was such a highly ranked character for me. She's so much fun and she's so vibrant and she raises so many scenes, like with her energy and the voice performance by Samantha Ireland. So that's another thing I fucking love. It is also nice to see actual death and issues for villages. Like, yes, I know part of the issue is that the huntsmen are all fucking useless besides the main characters. But, I mean, you know what? At least, again, we see the consequences of the Grimm, which we don't see enough of. So at least we have that here. There's actual fucking issues in the world. We see why the huntsmen are needed. I like to see that. That is good. So that's another nice thing that's in this episode. And I forgot that they even actually planned to save the huntsman guy and he dies while they were trying to figure out how to get him somewhere and everything. Like, I think that says a lot. Like, they're trying to take action, they were gonna do something, but it's still tragic because, like, he's already dead. It's too late, guys. Like, again, that's bringing things in, like, to reality, making things hit hard in the show. Great characterization for Ren here, like him just completely disregarding it and just pissed about everything, that he doesn't even bother like burying the body. He's like, no, we just gotta keep moving, let's get the fuck out of here. That's nice. Again, emotionally intelligent Nora is here and she like notices that something's wrong with Ren. She can tell something's off with him. Again, I wish we still had that version of Nora, but it's at least, it's nice that she's doing that here. It's nostalgic. So all that stuff in the beginning is fucking fantastic. I love it.
It's a nice little teaser for like later on in volume 2.
Jacques is such an asshole here too, and I think it works really well. I think it would make a lot of people happy. Like, the delivery by the actual actor is way better than what I just did.
Yeah, Jason Douglas, who is more famous for playing Beerus in Dragon Ball Super.
Such a great line delivery there. Absolutely fantastic.
It's just like, yes, just as much as an asshole as I thought he was.
So much good stuff. Like, we get, this is a volume of very high highs and very low lows. This volume, I gotta say, like, in terms of like depending on which storyline. Ranger, absolutely fantastic. They are so good throughout this entire volume. Yang and Weiss, some of the best moments and best storylines from the entire fucking series are in volume 4. And I used to wonder, like, were we just nostalgic for what made us love volume 4 initially? I remember when it first came out and that was our first podcast, we thought it was the best volume at the time. I don't still think it's the best volume because the lows are really low.
But we've also had so many volumes since then.
Yeah, but like those highs are still just as good. And like all the stuff with Weiss here is so fantastic.
Dude, Ramsey is just like, oh, you precious, precious baby. Dude to Wyatt, dude to Blake. You absolute donkey!
Yeah.
No, I mean, I'm going to be nice to Blake once we get to the later volumes. I promise.
I think like that's this kind of like brings to light. You could sort of call it an issue with Volume 4, is that it's kind of like too efficient in a lot of ways. A lot of guys get their shit wrapped up here, pretty much. Like Weiss, basically Yang, Blake, pretty much. This is it for them. No more character development after this, guys. This is all you get.
I will push back on Yang because Yang is still growing and doing very important things in Volume 5. Actually, Yang is actually still good in Volume 5. I'll give you the Weiss thing, but actually Yang, that's actually not quite true.
Yeah, Yang takes a little bit longer. I'll give you that.
I will give you she has more here, but they still finish it in Volume 5. I mean, then she shit afterwards, so you're not wrong about that. You're not wrong that there's issues with Yang. It's not that it ends in Volume 4, but yes, I mean, she gets terrible in Volume 7, 8, and 9, so.
You of all people should hate that they solved all of Ren's stuff here, because that goes on later to
absolutely.
inflict Renora with useless things that they shouldn't have had happen.
Oh, yep, no, I don't disagree with your overall point. Your overall point is absolutely correct. Volume 4, in a lot of ways, is excellent to the detriment of subsequent volume. That is
they could have
definitely a
dragged
problem
some
with
stuff
it.
out a little bit longer.
Yes,
I feel.
I agree.
It
goes back to something I said, I think it was Volume 1 or in Volume 1, actually, where I don't mind that they had all these ideas of, trying to get Weiss and RWBY to get along. The plot line with Blake and Weiss, and then trying to get something for Yang to do. I don't mind them having all of those ideas, but they could have spread them out more. And I think what your point kind of is all these important things they do with Weiss, Renora, and Yang, all of them are great storylines and are all executed especially by this show standards, very well, but they should have spread them out more, and I agree with that.
Do I want to talk about the Weiss stuff first or the Ranger stuff first?
Do the Weiss stuff first, because we all like Weiss better.
Okay. I like the dynamic with Weiss and her family, and also with Ironwood and the Schnees. I really like that Ironwood is really into Team RWBY. I said that in the Volume 2 podcast with him and RWBY's one interaction. But here he's very much sticking up for Weiss and saying, hey, you always have a home in Atlas Academy. Just say the word and you'll be an Atlas operative, just like your sister. You know, if you want to follow your sister's footsteps, I am all about that. I like the Schnee family portrait as our first look at Willow, and our only look at Willow for a long time, and how Whitley and Jacques look happy, but the girls look miserable. And this is something that is in a painting that is in their house, like as a badge. Like, this is something that Jacques is bragging about, and the girls just look miserable. And it's also subtle foreshadowing that Jacques isn't a Schnee, because he has gray hair here, whereas everyone else has the typical, like, Schnee family white hair, showing that Willow is the one where the white hair comes from, and that her genes are just stronger than Jacques'. You know, that sets up something that got revealed in a fucking World of Remnant that came out halfway through this volume, but then actually, like, comes into play later on in the volume as well. Weiss has been home for a while, but she's been completely ignoring her brother, which I think is them trying to set up what happens in volume 7 and 8, but that doesn't ever really amount to much. We get the first Ranger scene. It cuts back and forth between the two plot lines in this episode. We get the reveal that Ironwood's gonna lock up the borders, and he's putting a dust embargo and is putting him at odds with Jacques. But Jacques is still more or less on his side and is still saying, like, he's insane, I don't agree with this, but for better or worse, the council trusts him, so I had to just kind of take my lumps and deal with it. He has a picture of Whitley on his desk. I don't think he has pictures of any of the other girls anywhere in his office, from what I remember. He has a picture of himself behind his desk. Fucking Jacques is such a good character. In such a shitty way. Like, he's just so... He's not even, like, cartoonishly evil. I think would make him a lot less interesting if he was just, you know, mustache twirling evil. Like, no, he's just a dick. And he's just so high on himself, and so... He's almost, like, doing it in a very insecure way. He's weaselly, he's nasally. He knows he ain't shit. He knows that literally everyone in his family could kick his ass if they wanted to, but he is the one with the money. He is the one whose name is on all the ledgers of all the properties, and so he's the one who gets to call the shots. And it's like, the real superpower here really is money.
I do remember back in the day, like, a lot of people in the RWBY fandom thought he was a bad character, and that always pissed me off. I mean, you're supposed to not like him, idiots. Like, that's the point. That does not make him a bad character. That makes him a good character, actually. Jacques' actually a pretty decent character. He's not the best villain ever, but he definitely serves his purpose.
We also get the introduction to Klein. He's a fun character. J. Michael Tatum's a great voice actor. He's a good fit for the role. He's able to get, you know, a lot out of the different personalities with Klein. Obviously, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs reference. I like seeing Weiss smile and laugh. She's been through a lot and is still putting up with a lot from her family's bullshit. So, Team Ranger. RWBY is not okay.
No.
And this is something that I remember pointing out when episode 10 of this volume came out, but it's very clear earlier on too, like in this episode, with her like waking up from the dream. And a lot of people were like, oh, you know, maybe Pyrrha's ghost is with her, maybe this is Silver Eyes stuff. Like, no, RWBY is just fucked up. This is literally just RWBY being traumatized and not dealing with her issues, because she's got a new team now. You know, it's not about her, it's about them, even though this is her mission and they're there for her to support her in her goals. She's still putting herself below them and is more concerned about Jean's mental health and more concerned about Ren and Nora later on, and not dealing with the fact that she blames herself for Pyrrha's death. She was not able to save Penny and stop the fight. She doesn't know what to say to Jean. She doesn't know how to deal with this. She doesn't know how to make things better for them. She doesn't really know what to do half the time. She's just kind of following her instincts here. It's her fault that Crow gets poisoned. She's worrying about everyone else and not doing a mental health check on herself. And boy, does that come into play in later volumes. And this is why I keep saying, like, the true tragedy of her crash out in Volume 9 is the fact that it's her and Jean crashing out on each other and getting into it with each other, because Jean is the only reason why she was able to, like, pick herself back up in this volume later on. We'll get to that. Shit sucks, and Ruby is not dealing with it in a healthy way.
The only thing about that in, like, this volume is later on we learn basically rides on the fact that Crow's semblance is stupid. So why couldn't he be there to tell Ruby where she needed to go right off the bat? Oh, well, I didn't want to get too close because of bad luck and stuff. Okay, Crow. Thanks for that.
Then the second Ranger scene, we see her looking at Jean, watching him train with Pyrrha's video that she apparently took at some point. Kind of a weird video to just make. Were you, like, sick that day or something? Or about to go somewhere, visit family? I don't know what the context for this video is, other than it just being a training video, but it feels like it's a knife to the heart of Pyrrha fans, just for the sake of reminding you that she's dead and not coming back.
I think it works here. I do agree with Coop on his whole issue with how long that Jean is hung up on Pyrrha, but I think when it's this fresh, it works. Like, it works because she's definitely his teammate at the very least. He very much cared about her. I think loved her at the very least as a friend, and doesn't probably, again, we always say, like, he will never know how he felt about her romantically because he never got to figure that out, and that's tragic, and that works here in this scene. That's nice. I think this kind of should have been the best or the biggest part of that, and then we kind of move on after this, but they don't do that. They keep bashing us over the head with it, but at least here, it's good. Again, I'm not going to take that away from this episode and this scene, because it works very well here.
Well, to kind of like further devil's advocate for it even more than you already just did, like, I'm not really sure how they would have gotten him over it in this volume, because stuff regarding Pyrrha doesn't really come up here at all.
Fair,
like,
yeah.
Volume 5, when they're sitting around in an office and, can maybe talk about stuff, maybe have somebody bring Pyrrha up. Here, they do have like some rather more urgent things to take care of a lot of the time, and also the subject of Pyrrha is not really directly related to any of them. So I get, like, just having like a scene like this just to remind the audience that yes, John had this girl over here in the past volumes, and he is still upset. Now we got other stuff to go with.
So moving on to episode 3, the episode that more or less launched this podcast. It wasn't the first episode we covered on the podcast, but it's the reason why we decided to start covering the show on the podcast. Runaways and Stowaways.
Oh,
fucking boy. Blake.
Where do we start with this shit? I mean, the thing is, like, the funny thing is that the episode does not start off bad. I actually like the interaction with the captain. I like the captain. I think he's cool. Like, one of the things I like is, like, I like how much better the captain understands Blake than she understands herself at this point. I think that's kind of funny and interesting. That becomes more of a problem later on, but in this scene, that's not necessarily a big problem. And the other thing is, it's not all Blake in this episode. So funny enough, like, I don't have this episode really low rated. It's a 69 out of 100. Nice. And I did choose that number because it's half the episode is Yang and half the episode is Blake. That was on purpose.
Fair enough.
Yep. The Yang stuff is fucking fantastic. So I don't know which we're talking about first, but like...
Yeah, let's talk about the Blake stuff because the Yang stuff ties into episode 4 as well. We don't get Blake again until episode 5.
The Blake stuff is not at its worst here. It starts getting bad, but I think the fight scene isn't bad. Like, I like the way Sun and Blake fight together. Like, I like how they are able to work together. I think this fight scene is actually pretty decent, to be honest, so I don't hate that. What I do hate is her slapping him. That was the complaint I think we even had way back then, wasn't it? That's like...
Oh yeah, she does slap him in this episode, doesn't she?
And she slaps him again another time, I think, too.
Yeah, that was the time I was thinking of in episode 8 of this volume. She slaps him a couple times.
The thing is, like, I don't mind girls hitting guys, man. I don't really have a problem with it. But I have a problem with it here simply because she doesn't have actually a good reason to do so. Like, he just helped save the fucking, the whole boat. She probably wouldn't have been able to do that all by herself. So, come on, man. Like, you can't be that much of an asshole. You've known him long enough to know that he's not a creep at this point. You've known Sun long enough. If this was earlier on, fine. But this isn't volume 1. This is volume 4. You know that Sun is a good dude. So just because he's doing something you don't like doesn't mean that like it's a good thing to slap him. The bigger problem, I wouldn't have minded if she did it if the writers thought it was bad that she did it. The problem, of course, is the fact that the writers never give her any consequences for treating Sun poorly. Again, going back to Toph, this is just an easy example. Like when she acts like a piece of shit, it comes back to bite either her or the whole team, and they actually make sure to make her grow in some ways as the series goes on. And that's with a lot of characters in other shows. That's just the one I've been thinking of today. If they did that with Blake, then that's fine. Like Weiss was a piece of shit at the beginning of the show, and she's the best character. Not the writers acknowledge that she's a piece of shit, and they have her grow. Blake doesn't here. It's apparently not a bad thing that Blake slaps Sun here, according to the writers. They don't seem to think that that's a problem. It is a problem, and that's where the issue is.
There's a difference between, like, being kind of an asshole like RWBY is, and being a bitch like Blake is in this volume. Anytime RWBY is giving people shit, it's either deserved, as it was with Weiss in Volume 1, or it's in jest, it's in good humor, like it is anytime she fucks with Jean. Here, like, Blake is doing it out of anger. Like, she is appalled that Sun would, like, want to watch her back when she's going off on her own to the Faunus capital of the world, when she knows that a Faunus militia group is coming after her and everyone she loves. Like, Adam made that promise. I'm going to destroy everything you love, starting with her, referencing Yang. So, like, not only does she leave Yang without saying a word, leaving her completely at Adam's mercy, she then goes to her family, which is valid, you know? Like, if this was part of her motivation, that, hey, Adam threatened my family effectively, I need to, like, go and make sure they're okay, that would make Blake's motivations make more sense. But no, that's not her motivation. She's going to them in order to get away from the White Fang. Like, she has, like, something in her brain just isn't clicking that Adam would be coming after her family, and it makes no sense. And it makes no sense why she would be so angry at Sun. It's not like Sun is bothering her or is, like, all over her. No, he keeps his distance. He leaves her alone until he literally has to jump in order to help save her. And she's just so kind of ungrateful about it the entire time. She never truly apologizes for her behavior. Like, she apologizes for, like, slapping him later on, or for, like, getting him hurt later on, but she doesn't ever really apologize for the way she treats him in this episode and in the various episodes going forward. And it makes her a lot more insufferable, and it also just further highlights how much Yang is blowing smoke up her ass in Volume 9, when she's like, you've never backed down from a fight, you're, like, strong and whatever. I don't remember what all she says. Like, no, what? No, that is just not at all the kind of person Blake has been, because Blake has always been this petulant brat character. Like, she tries getting into it with Weiss earlier on, like, and it makes no sense. Her various motivations and actions don't ever really line up. Like, she puts on the bow because she doesn't want to, like, draw attention to herself, but then she picks a fight with Weiss on the first day of school.
Yeah.
There's a variety of ways that it probably could have done it better. Like, outright having her slap Sun, that's kind of needed. But I think if she had just, like, tried really hard to convince him to just leave her, that would have been better. I don't fully know what exactly they were trying to do with her this whole volume. I assumed it was that she was just trying to abandon everybody. And so from that, I would extrapolate that she would say to Sun, next port we stop at, you gotta go away, man. You can't follow me around like this. And then you could maybe have, like, something funny with that. Like, Sun would say, okay, but the next port we're stopping at is the Faunus world. I'm probably going to be pretty close by regardless.
I would have loved, like, a Lord of the Rings reference. Like, Blake would be like, I'm going alone. That's right, and I'm going with you.
Something like that. And I think if they had sort of worked it like that, where she was less hostile to him, I think that actually works better, because the fight scene itself, that sort of conveys to me, with them working so well together during that she's at least subconsciously not that appalled by him and stuff. She's not against him, super
Mhm.
hard. Consciously she might be like, I don't want you near me or whatever. Not to the sort of extent they put it out there. I feel like that would have had like a better feel to it, if she was maybe not like full-heartedly, maybe like half-heartedly trying to convince him to leave her alone. Not because she doesn't want him there, but because she thinks maybe it's better for him not to be around her or something. Like she doesn't like herself or something like that. Like I said, there's all sorts of stuff they could have gone with it that they didn't hit the nail on the head with, like during this volume, in the ways that they could have. I think this particular episode that we're talking about, I do actually think was pretty good overall, even with most of the Blake stuff, except for the slapping and arguing. Like you said, I do like the captain. I do like the boat that they're on. I like how Sun's like sneaking around in a way that honestly she should have caught on to him being there. He was not very good at sneaking, like at all. I'm not certain how.
He's the true ninja of love.
That's the thing, if there's anybody who can get a girl to ignore him, it's Sun Wukong of all people.
Dragon in this episode is called the Sea Fei Long. We never see it again. Doesn't matter. It's not even that interesting of a Grim. I do like the fight, though. It's fine as far as Grim fights go. It's always been kind of whatever to me. Also want to quickly address the final scene. It's a Cinder scene. It just further confirms that she did kill, quote-unquote, Ozpin. Also, our first tease at the relic and our first look at the Seer Grim. It's whatever. Now, moving on to the Yang stuff, because that also takes us into episode 4. Yang is fucking rough, and I love it.
It's so good.
She's got the sleeve tied off on her jacket. First scene is she's clicking through the channel, getting traumatized by them still talking about Adam on the news. Ty comes in with a bunch of gifts, including an arm given to her directly from General Ironwood. Ironwood, big fan of Team RWBY at this point.
He is their biggest stan at this point.
Yeah. It's one of the reasons why so many people liked him. It's one of the reasons why so many people were turned off and hated the heel turn he went through in Volume 7 and 8. We like people who like the characters we're supposed to like. That's just kind of how storytelling goes a lot of times. But yeah, Yang is getting PTSD. She's not okay. She's also not dealing with it, but Ty is doing his best. We only get the one scene of her, don't we?
In this one, yeah. This is kind of an introduction. That's another reason why I didn't rate this episode higher. That's why I kept it at 69. Because we get a start of Yang here, but we don't get the best of Yang in this volume here quite yet. Like, we get an introduction to what she's going to be going through. It gets better as it goes, to be honest.
Oh, their kitchen pisses me off.
Oh, yeah, the fucking cabinet heights, right?
The fucking cabinet heights and then the curtains over the stove. That's a fire hazard.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful fire hazard, though. So
that is
keep
true.
It there.
So moving into episode 4, which is the first episode we talked about on the podcast. Our very first podcast episode was talking about this episode. It's a big Yang episode. It's a big, not so much Ranger, but it's a big Crow episode. We do cut back to Team Ranger in this episode. But it also starts off with Oscar.
Yeah. I'm just...
No, stop it.
I'm gonna be...
This is the episode that does the reveal. This is the Ozpin reveal.
I have nothing to say about that except for the barmaid in this episode is very, very hot. I will not forget you, hot barmaid.
All right, be a real one.
Like I said, this probably has the best NPC cast of all the volumes. The blacksmith, the boat captain and skipper, the barmaid, even the nameless huntsman, even though he sucks ass, he's at least a thing that is memorable. He is memorable because he is a professional huntsman who got fucking murked by a Grim that our team then takes down at the end of the volume.
Well, in fairness, they did set that up as one that's killed so many people, so...
Who's to say it was just that it was a Grim?
You could reason that he was already injured from the bandits, and we know that it's Raven's group, and Raven is a maiden, so whatever. But still, it's not funny when you put it like that. You're ruining the joke.
Funny. I'm looking at the humanity. You're just like
you're ruining the agenda, Sock.
No. My agenda is to care.
My agenda is that the huntsmen suck.
No. I will stand up for this nameless huntsman. No, fuck you, media. This man died. This man suffered to help people, and you're just like, no, he sucks. It's like, bro.
Tear my heart open. I sew myself
shut.
My weakness is I care too much.
So Yang has a PTSD nightmare, and it's fun.
Well, yeah, because the scars remind her that the past is real.
Gotta tear your heart open just to feel, media.
I always really liked this scene. I've always just liked the whole Yang Adam thing. How it's not even necessarily the loss of her arm, it's just how humiliating that defeat was.
Yeah, he beat her so easily.
Yeah, she prides herself on her strength. She's the strong one. She's the big sister of the group. She's their shield. She's their tank main. And she got one shot by this DPS main, and that's just humiliating to her. She's coping, she's trying to deal with it, she's got the arm, but she's just not ready to do that because in her brain, she's just not ready. Nothing at this point is preventing her from just losing her other arm or losing her head next time. Like, the arm isn't gonna make her stronger in that regard. She doesn't have confidence in it. But then we also get the scene with Ty, Oobleck, and Ports, showing that they're friends, apparently. Would have been neat to set that up in Volume 1. Would that have made Port more or less creepy?
No, I don't think, no. I think it would have made him, like, even more creepy.
How about just don't have him hit on the students? Oobleck's great. I love the story. I love hearing more about Team Stark. And the image of Crow wearing a skirt is gold. I've seen the fan art. I know what you people have done. I know what you are, internet.
I know.
By the way, that meme, I found out it's from Dexter.
Ah, gotcha. The Dokes meme?
Dokes, yeah. I've never watched Dexter, but I brought that up in the podcast, and then literally my YouTube algorithm was like, hey, give this kid some context. Kid, as if I'm not a 33-year-old man. 32, 33. I turned 33 this year.
Points and laughs.
Look, if you've gotten that old and you haven't watched a certain show from like the 2000s, you're never going to watch it again. Just stop at YouTube. It's not happening. I'm not going to go back and watch it.
I don't care how many clips of it you push on my feed. I'm not watching fucking Family Guy again.
Oh god, fuck Family Guy. Holy shit.
But yeah, Ty's a savage. We know where Ruby gets it from.
True.
But no, I like that Yang is actually okay with that she laughs, and Oobleck and Por are like, what the fuck? Because that's such a genuine reaction.
This family is weird, man. That was pretty funny. I loved that, though. Part of the reason Yang is great here, again, I do like everything Media already said. I also like Tai here. I think the balance between how he's trying to handle things and how she's going through things, I think together that's really good. And I like that, you know, the teacher's coming in and talking to her and kind of also being a different perspective from her dad and also kind of saying similar-ish stuff to what he's saying, but just it not being her dad. Hearing it from somebody else is something that matters a lot. Like, a lot of times people joke about, like, oh, you know, like a husband will say, like, oh, I told my wife this, but then like some random person told them the same thing and then now they believe it. Because, you know, when you're really close with people, it changes how you listen to them versus people that you don't know as well, right? So I think it's really nice to get people that she kind of knows, but not that well, to say some supportive and helpful things also for her. I really like that. So that scene is one of my favorites in this volume and one of my favorite scenes in the whole series. I like how much Tai makes fun of her. I just like the dynamic between Tai, Port, and Oobleck together. And I like how they're able to help Yang. I like how she's still not okay at this point, but like you can see that she's caring a little bit. And I love that they bring it back. It's like, no, she's still not actually okay because they have the whole thing about Tai saying, nah, I still got stuff to take care of here. And like Yang starts to feel really bad and guilty about that. I think that's great that they actually end on that downer there to show she's still struggling, you know? Like, this is a little bit of progress for her this evening, but she's not back. And I like that. So this is a really fucking good scene.
It was enough for her to start trying again.
Yeah, at that point, that's enough. I think that's good that we get that.
Yeah, I think a good way to have it happen, I suppose, you know, shooting some shit with some old dudes. That's how 99% of all of my problems always get worked out.
Actually, that's true. Pretty similar for me, too.
And the other 1%
was
medical.
The part of it is just like people have experience. Other people have lost people and gone through shit and had problems and stuff like that. Those are the kind of people that will more likely be able to help you with that kind of stuff, to be honest. And they write that well here. They write Port and Oobleck. As silly and childish as they act in some ways, they're still wise and they still have life experience. So they're still, and they impart that on Yang fairly well, I would say. I mean, Port's scene with Weiss was a great scene in Volume 1, too, where he gives her advice. And he's actually blunt with her, too. And Port is good here, too, being a bit blunt with her. And like, he's the one who asks, hey, why haven't you tried the arm on yet? He's always the blunt one to say, like, the shit that might be a little uncomfortable but needs to be said.
Yeah, and then it goes from Yang feeling guilty over neither her nor Tai being able to go and help Ruby because she's dealing with her trauma, to Team Ranger getting closer to their next stop, Higanbana, while Crow keeps the Grim off their back. We get a lot more Crow. We get the barmaid who is hot and totally hitting on him and is totally the reason why it took him so long to get to the Tyrion fight. And then we get Raven, and man, Remember when we were excited to see Raven?
Yes, I do remember that.
I'm always excited to see Raven.
Team Stark is just a team of jackasses, I swear. This is some Aqua Teen Hunger Force level energy that this episode is showing off, especially now that we know more about, like, Summer's personality and how Summer could, like, talk shit too.
Yeah, so Summer was number one in the hood.
Raven's talking shit to Crow, Crow is talking shit to Winter, Ty is talking shit to his own daughter, Summer's talking shit to Raven. God, I want to see more flashbacks with these characters just talking shit to each other, if nothing else. I don't need to have any, like, deep backstory or characterization. Then put it in a fucking comic, guys. Just do something. But Raven and Crow play this stupid-ass vague game. Does she have it? Which we are you talking about? Or which we are you referring to? And nothing of value is really gained from the conversation other than just, like, vague posting and foreshadowing the worst episode of the volume.
Yeah, it's just vague
Nothing is
posting.
ever- To quote a famous cartoon duck, pronoun trouble.
Yeah.
Whenever people are playing the pronoun games, it's usually honestly genuinely annoying in scenes. People are doing this like vague pronoun shit. It is genuinely like fucking annoying. And this is no exception.
Cool thing would have been to have just Crow just outright say, "Oh, you mean
Yes.
so and so?" Like
Yeah.
this very specific person.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's got that thing that I will now list off as exactly what it is.
Yes.
I mean, would it be the way that that information is actually given to us later in this volume?
Yeah, I mean, it's not even really a twist, is it? There's not really any reason.
No, it's not.
all.
That's the thing. There's no point for the pronoun game.
I guess the manner in which they wanted to show it is maybe what they were getting at, but like when it comes to RWBY and overly dramatizing exposition, it's like cookies and cream for Oreos. You know, you can't have one without the other, I guess. Like it's
Yeah, you're not wrong.
I feel that Oscar could have been replaced by like a VHS tape of Ozpin just telling everybody all the stuff that he hadn't told them in the previous 3 volumes. That would have been cool. Just
You
have
must
Crow pop that into one of the scrolls. Be like, here, check this out, kids. Just look at this. Everything will be explained.
Hey kids, remember your favorite cartoon? Here it is. And Ozpin comes on, he's like, 7 days. You have 7 days to complete these tasks. Or 7 years. Let's say 7 years.
I forget what it was. I know what you're talking about, though. I think
The ring. That's the ring. Again, I won't harp on it, but yeah, Ozpin should never have come back, and that's a big problem throughout the rest of the series, to be honest. Yeah, like I said, that Tai Yang, Oobleck port scene is just fucking 10 out of 10. It's so good, and even the other stuff that's not a fantastic here, like, you know, I can't even complain about the Oscar stuff here too much because the rest is so good that I can't even be mad. I still gave this episode a 92 because what's good here is so good. Much better than the next episode. So
It was a delight.
I miss good Yang. I miss good, interesting Yang. That is, oh boy, that's sad to lose. That's another thing. Like, I complain about losing interesting, fun Nora. Losing interesting, good Yang is also really fucking sad.
Heading into episode 5, Menagerie, where we get Blake. Just a lot of Blake. It's a Blake episode. Nobody else. We get like 30 seconds of Tyrion, but it's mostly Blake.
This episode I gave a 3 out of 10. It's pretty bad, and this is not the worst episode in the volume. There is actually a worse one.
Like it wasn't like 3 out of 100. It was just 3 out of 10 because the others were rated
30 out of 100. Yeah, 30 out of 100 is what I gave it. There's a lot of problems with this one. Sun complaining about how crowded it is when it clearly isn't crowded at all is really annoying. And I'm not going to blame the animators. Like, the director's got to figure that shit out. You got to figure something out to make something believable. If the animators don't have the budget or the time to make something happen, then you got to cut it or do something else. Like, you got to handle that. That is not on the animators to do that. They don't have the time, right?
I wouldn't say animators. I think someone just forgot to check the mark to like show visible.
You gotta keep that shit coordinated, guys. That's basic shit. And the other problem is like they're talking as if Kuokuana and Menagerie are like reject place, and that's fine if that's true, but then they don't portray it that way. Like, it looks great, man. Like, it looks like a pretty awesome place to be. If you want it to be shitty, it's not that hard to make it look like a slum, guys. Come on. Like, fucking Batman figures that out so easily. Like, Gotham looks like shit. Watch, again, The Batman from 2022. Gotham looks like hell. Even the Batman trilogy with fucking, what's his name? The British actor
Christian Bale. Gotham always looks like shit. Like, the only time Gotham doesn't look like shit is when it looks like Malibu, California in the 60s.
If you guys pick something, do you want this place to look cool, awesome, and interesting, or you want it to look like shit? You can do both. They want to make it look like a fucking island paradise, but then claim it shitty. We as the audience aren't going to believe you if you don't make it look shitty.
Give us some poverty. Give us some homeless children. Other episodes in this volume do a better job at showing, like, a shitty place, like Kuroyuri with homeless Nora. Like, they know how to do this stuff. They just don't, and I don't know why they just kind of half-assed it with Menagerie, with Kuokuana. This is, like, the least interesting setting. Well, actually, no. Vale is the least. Vale is such a boring fucking place. Vale is such a boring place. It has no personality with this architecture. This at least has some personality with this architecture. It is funny that they have, like, some food stands in the water because there's some fish faunus. That's funny. I like that.
I like it too. I'm not going to complain about that. This does have what I think is one of the worst moments in the entire show. One of the worst, like, 5-second clips. Probably, maybe the worst 5-second clip in the entire fucking show. And that is the moment where Sun is asking Blake, which house is yours? Which house does your family live in? This is another scene where I remember how I felt when I first watched it. Because I remember when he did that, I was like, oh, she's going to point at, like, a slum district, or she's going to point at something tiny, or she's going to say, I never had a home. Like, that's what I genuinely thought she was going to say. Like, I never had a home. Like, my parents are dead, or something like that. Or, like, my parents never had a home. I don't know where they are right now. I need to find them because we never had a permanent address. There's so many options they could have gone with, right? So many different levels of darkness or pain or poverty that they could have gone with. And Blake points and grabs Sun's hand and points at the biggest fucking house in the whole goddamn city. And I lost my goddamn shit at that moment. I was so fucking pissed at that point. Because you gotta understand, at this point, I did not hate Blake in this show. I was already a Bumblebee shipper at this point.
Yep.
At this point, yes, I was annoyed that she slapped Sun, but I liked the plot point of her leaving Yang and feeling guilty about it. And this is her way of dealing with things, because if they handled it properly, the fact that she ran away and that's a bad thing and she has to grow and she has to realize that that's not the right way to do things and people miss her. Absence makes the heart grow fonder. That could make for such an interesting love story. It could make a fantastic story with her team. It gives so much room for Blake to grow and all that kind of stuff. And if she had an actual tragic backstory, then there'd be so many reasons to feel sympathy for her, and you could understand why she would feel like Yang would be better off without her. Could you imagine if she was actually, like, a poverty-stricken person and, like, her parents were, like, assassinated by the former White Fang members or something like that, or just ran out from the White Fang or something like that, and now they're kind of nobodies or whatever it is, and they're trying to fight back to get the White Fang back or something, anything where, like, she feels like she is, like, cursed or not worthy of friends and love and all that kind of stuff. That would be so compelling. It's so easy to make that at least a decent character growth and such a decent idea. And they fucked it up. Like, they picked the one option. Out of all the options, there's 50 options, and they picked the one that didn't work. The only one. How do you fuck that up? That's mind-boggling that they made her basically rich, at the very least not poor. They made her family powerful. Her parents were the former White Fang leaders and now the leaders of Menagerie. And they live in the biggest fucking house. And they have all these guards.
And then she's surprised that the White Fang are there.
Yeah, and she's surprised at the White Fang. Why are you surprised by that? Oh, like, none of this is good. Like, and that is what pissed me off, and that's why I hated Blake so much for so long, because she's definitely a character that I really wanted to like, and I did kind of like her at the beginning. I liked the idea of her, and that's the kind of character I usually like the most, by the way. Fucking emo girl that, like, woe is me, like, I have all this tragic shit, I don't think I'm worthy of love, and then somebody teaches them that they're worthy of love. I fucking love that shit. I'm a fucking sucker for that crap, okay? And they could have done it, and they fucked it up. And this scene is the scene that makes Blake completely fall apart. Any of the stuff before this, there's some not great stuff, but you could have still saved it. Nope. At this point, this is where it just completely fucking falls off the rail, and she's insufferable for this entire volume. And I hate that, because I didn't want this to happen. Like, I wanted to like Blake so much. Oh, God, that. Well, also, we do get introduced to Peak. We do get introduced to Callie Milfadonna. Fucking fantastic character. Fucking milfy as all hell. But, again, she should be dead, or she shouldn't be the fucking queen of the Faunus or like the first lady of the Faunus, like something else besides this. This does not. The fact that the other issue we've talked about this before, Blake should not have such a great relationship with her parents if she's going to be so woe is me all the time. That doesn't click either. I don't have a problem with her parents being great parents and having a good relationship and being what they are. If Blake wasn't a character we're supposed to be feeling so sorry for. We are supposed to feel sorry for Blake. We're supposed to feel sympathy for her. She's supposed to be beaten down. And everything that we get in this volume tells us that that's not the case. And the writers don't understand that. And that is so fucking infuriating. Like, the fact that the writers don't realize that is like, guys, that is extreme stupidity. That is extremely dumb. That is like some 60 IQ shit right there.
I mean, look, dude, you just clearly don't understand environmental storytelling, right? Okay. The 2-for-1 margarita deal is actually a complete ripoff at the swim up bar. And Faunus decorating, okay, that stuff, it costs a lot. That's the oppression right there, okay? The Belladonna family are paying out the ass to have a home that looks like this, in comparison to what the Schnees are giving for theirs.
Systemic racism in the housing market.
Exactly. Do you understand that they had to sell one of their 5 different sports cars to afford that shit, okay?
Also, like, this episode opens up one of my biggest issues with Volume 2 in retrospect, which is that, like, nobody fucking remembers how that volume ended with the White Fang unleashing Grimm into the city, and literally they're like, no, we would never do anything like that. Like, what? Like, what? And they're all shocked about it. Like, Yura and Callie are shocked about it. Like, they saw the Fallen Beacon going down, right? They mentioned that here, right? Which means that they saw both Blake and Sun on the TV as Huntsman students, because Sun was in the Vital Festival too, remember? Had a whole half an episode where Team Sun fought Team Indigo, and that fight was kind of worthless, but like, it happened.
It was on TV, it was broadcasted for the world to see.
Yes, I know that Cinder and Mercury like deceptively edited the CCT footage from the Fallen Beacon, but what about the breach? That was like a week earlier. Why is it like such a shock that...
Was it even a week earlier? Do we know what the timeline is from Breach?
No, we don't. We really don't.
Could have been months, could have been a whole month, could have been a day, could have been 2 days, could have been 1 day, could have been a week, could have been 2 weeks. I don't know.
The point is that everyone should know that the White Fang unleashed Grimm into Vale. And they don't. And I don't know why they don't. They just don't.
Well, the Grimm showed up there. The White Fang were all still back on the train, though. So maybe they didn't put the 2 and 2 together there. I'm not certain. I would have
No, but
thought...
the reporters would have reported on that. That's the thing.
Team RWBY and Oobleck would have been witnesses to the White Fang plot.
Clearly, the journalists were paid off by the White Fang to not report properly on this.
And then, of course, the whole, like, Blake being shocked that the White Fang are on Menagerie, even though it's like, oh no, the Faunus group is on the place with all the Faunus people? Who would have thought?
Seems like that would be a good place to recruit.
Yeah. We get the introduction to the Albanes as well. They suck. I want to make a joke about Gira looking like the Immortal from Invincible, because he fucking does. And also his stomach armor is stupid. His outfit just sucks. He's got this big, thick-ass winter coat when it's supposed to be, like, tropical. He's got this massive-ass shoulder pauldron. It's massively asymmetrical. It just looks goofy. He's got the chest hair, which is fine, I guess. But, again, like, he's got the stomach armor plate that doesn't have any straps or anything. It's just kind of glued to his stomach. But he's got a bunch of straps on his arms that serve no purpose. Such a fucking clusterfuck of a design. Anyway, that's all about Menagerie. Let's go to episode 6, The Tipping Point. And we'll probably just combine this with episode 7, Punished, because these 2 episodes kind of are a 2-parter about Team Ranger and Weiss. We check in on both of their plot lines throughout the 2 episodes.
Yeah, this is... Oh, God, this episode is so good. I forgot, this is actually the second best episode. I have 3 episodes rated very closely together in terms of numbers. This one's actually what I have rated as the second best episode in the volume. I like that RWBY actually faces the consequences of leading them on this sort of seemingly wild goose chase. I like that she actually owns up to it and, like, apologizes for it and all of that. The Weiss scene here is so good. I fucking love every fucking thing about this scene. This is another fucking 10 out of 10 scene. Weiss blowing up at the bitchy fat bitch is fantastic. Like, is definitely a thing like where you can see so much of how she's grown. And like, this is like literally the tipping point for Weiss, where she's like, okay, I can't fucking take this anymore. I'm not the same person where I cannot deal with this bullshit. Like, I was with those people. You are such a piece of shit. You don't understand anything. This is where she really starts to become like one of the people, like a real person, not some privileged rich asshole anymore. And it's such a beautiful scene to see that. It's even more meaningful after seeing how she acts in Volume 1. This is why you give your characters flaws, because it's so much more rewarding to see Weiss do what she does in this scene because of what she did in the past. And another thing I absolutely adore that I didn't even appreciate when I first watched this scene, and that's what makes this even better, is Henry Marigold. I love Henry Marigold because Henry Marigold is just fucking Timu Neptune. And whether they meant it or not, and I'm going to give them credit and think they did mean it.
Apparently, Shitty Neptune was his, like, official name on the rough draft of the script.
Okay, then I'm great. I am glad, because I was giving them the credit for realizing that and making that so meaningful, because Neptune's a piece of shit, actually. From all we know, he's an okay person, but he's definitely not great. He's shallow. He's not somebody Weiss should be dating, but she liked him because he was hot and he was privileged like her, so he was the kind of person that she thought she should be with at the beginning of the show. Which is why White Knight would be so fucking poetic when that becomes what happens at the end of the series, because I'm pretty confident about it at this point. The more we watch the show, the more White Knight seems very, very, very likely. Regardless of that, like, just the fact that Neptune was the guy that she was hitting on and really into in the beginning of the series, and he's not a good person. And this Henry Marigold guy is even worse. And the fact that she does not give this guy the time of day for even a millisecond, and she's just like, get the fuck out of here. And she literally tells him, get the fuck out of here or I will make you leave. That was such a great fucking moment, man. Like, I loved that. I think I liked that even more than when she fucking threw the Borba tusk at the fat bitch. That was even better. But both things are awesome. And then Ironwood is such a fucking Chad in this scene. Like, no wonder everybody loves Iron Daddy. The line, she's the only one making any sense around here. Oh my god, dude, he just dropped his fucking iron nuts on Jacques' face with that line. He just teabagged the shit out of Jacques with that line and just walks away. Because cool guys don't look at explosions. They turn around and they walk away. Fucking badass. Dude, so much aura. Everything about that scene is so incredible. It's one of my favorite scenes in the entire series. It's one of the reasons Weiss is so great. And she's still not quite done yet. Like, she still wants to try to keep her inheritance after this. And I can see it, so I like that they keep that too. She's not, like, just completely gung-ho yet at this point. But she can't contain her emotions and what she feels about things. She's seen too much of the real world. She's seen too much suffering now. She knows more of what people go through now, and she can't contain that anymore. And that's beautiful, and I fucking love it. It's such great character growth from Weiss. It's really this scene is a big reason why she's the best character in the series. So I fucking love it. It's such a great scene.
Yeah, it's pretty good. There's not much else to add, I think. You pretty much summed up what I would say about it, too.
And I wish we got more of Weiss in this volume. I remember one of our complaints with this episode was that we never see her preparing for the concert. She just agrees to it in episode 2, then we don't see her at all in episodes 3, 4, or 5, and then episode 6, she's putting on the concert. I like the concept of, characters who have gone away from home, gone through character development, experienced the wider world, went through some shit, met some friends along the way, and then going back home, going back to what their element should be, and they just can't deal. Like, this is a big part of why I really like the ending of Return of the King. I like Frodo going back to the Shire and just not being able to deal with the mundanity of Hobbit life anymore, because he's gone through just so much by that point. Not saying that Weiss is Frodo level writing or anything, or that this deserves comparison to Lord of the Rings. I'm using Lord of the Rings as like one of the best examples of that being done right. Whereas here it's like, she is such a better person than this now. Like, this is her in what would have been Volume 1 Weiss's element. Putting on the show, doing the concert, singing. She very clearly loved singing. Like, she didn't really fight back against Jacques on that. She just questioned his actual motives. And we know that, from Volume 3 and stuff, that she does enjoy singing. Like, she was kind of bummed out after the Team Funky fight. The first thing she says after she takes the lava bath is that, well, it looks like I won't be singing for a while. So she very clearly likes that. She very clearly likes what this charity stands for. So much that she throws Henry Marigold singled out for not being there for the right reasons, being there under false pretenses. She lashes out because this is literally supposed to be a charity ball raising money for victims of the Fallen Beacon. So how dare anyone talk shit on these victims that they're supposed to be raising money for. Again, it's just showing that so many of these goddamn people are just there for the food and the company and to socialize and wheel and deal and do political maneuvering, and she's just not about that. Neither is Ironwood. As he says, Weiss is the only one making sense. And I love him for that, and I love her for that, and that does bleed into the next episode. Put a pin in that and talk about Team Ranger. We get some environmental storytelling here with Oniyuri and Rin kind of exposition dumping in a decent way, and then Tyrion shows up, and he is a riot.
I love Tyrion. I do have an issue with it, though. The whole thing with him saying that Jean interests him and then that never going anywhere, I do have an issue with that.
Yeah. I was so excited. I'm like, wait.
Yeah.
To be fair, they haven't seen each other since this.
Fine. If they bring that back, I'll shut up. Give them all the credit for that.
I have the theory, and I posted this on Twitter. I think Tyrion knows or knew that Jean was going to become the Rusted Knight. I don't know how. Maybe he's Lewis's grandson or something. Maybe Alex and Lewis's name was Alex and Lewis Callows. I would like to see that come to fruition, because right now it is just this weird dumb thing that doesn't go anywhere.
Another nice touch that I really love here is who was the first one to defend Ruby? It's Nora. I miss good Nora. Nora's so good in the beginning. Honestly, Nora even in Volume 5. Nora in Volumes 1 through 5. Fantastic character, man. She's so good in Volumes 1 through 5. She's okay in Volume 6, but Volumes 1 through 5, she is utterly fantastic. And even when she's still kind of a side character, she's still an aggressive defender of people. She takes action. She notices things. God, Nora was so good. She was so good.
We see Ruby putting Nora's semblance to good use to get the drop on Tyrion, but it doesn't work because he's just built different. And then my favorite part of this whole episode, the reveal that Tyrion is a faunus, a scorpion faunus, our first arthropod faunus, and Ruby makes the educated assumption that this is about the White Fang or Cinder, and he's like, what? No, it's fucking stupid. I don't care about them.
I do love that. I do love that the writers do at least make it known the White Fang is not every faunus's favorite thing. I like that we get that with Sun, because Sun hates the White Fang. Tyrion is at the very least very disdainful of them.
Gives no shit. It does say a lot that Salem didn't send her faunus henchmen to talk with the White Fang.
That's true. Yeah, because he probably would have killed them.
It's no, I need Hazel because he's the only one who isn't gonna fuck that up.
It's Watts? No.
Watts is probably racist.
Yeah, that's why I was no.
Watts could probably get away with it better because of that. He'd know how the faunus operate better. He would be like, hey, look. I mean, Roman was basically like that. He negotiated with them great.
Watts is from Mantle, no? Right?
Yeah, Atlas.
Yeah, so he's I've worked with them before, so it's fine.
I think honestly, just being look, I get that we got some stuff that went on between us that's not great, and getting that out of the way in the forefront rather than having it spring up later. It's actually, in terms of negotiation, it's kind of an advantage in a way. Yeah, you guys know you can't trust me, but I've got this cool thing going on, and here's how it's laid out. You can decide if you want to be a part of it or not, you know?
Tyrion's my heart belongs only to the goddess, and Ruby's Cinder. Tyrion's no, that is even stupider than me being with the White Fang.
That's even worse.
Tyrion had to uncrazy himself for a second and said, no, just no.
Only in her wildest dreams.
Tyrion's just so much fun. I've said it before. I will never stop saying it. I am never having a bad time when Tyrion is on screen. Never. Always having a good time when he's there.
And then Crow shows up at the end to block the stinger before he's able to get Ruby. This is also our first showcase of the stupid-ass aura effect that they started implementing with this volume. I don't like how it took them so long to actually
pick something
and stick with it, because this is vastly different from what Volume 3 was showing, and Volume 5 is also kind of consistent with this. Not until Volume 6 that we finally get. That's still way too goddamn long to figure out how to showcase when someone is hurt / in danger danger of dying in your action show. But the fight's cool, Tyrion moves fun, and that leads us into Episode 7, Punish, which has the best fight of the volume, Crow versus Tyrion.
I actually don't know if I like that one more than the Nuklave fight, but it is still a great fight.
This is the one and only fight that feels like a Monty fight in this volume.
Well, it is like relatively, at least, humanoid models going up against each other on this one. It was probably a little bit easier to work with, I would say.
Yeah, it also has dude's like most hated moment of this fight, where Crow just punches Tyrion in the face.
Oh, yeah, that was me. I hate that.
It does look goofy.
I hate that. And that's not just a RWBY thing. It's actually a bigger problem in Star Wars. Star Wars is fucking...
Oh, yeah, Clone Wars.
Yeah, Clone Wars especially is fucking unforgivably annoying about this. It's like fucking the heroes becoming stronger when they lose their weapons somehow. Like, God, I hate it so much. RWBY is not the worst offender of that at all, in fairness. Because this is like really one of the only times this ever happened. So I actually will give them credit. They're actually better at this than Star Wars. But it does happen here, so it does annoy me.
I think in my experience, I've always liked it where like they've got a concealed backup weapon. That's always my thing that I think
That's
is
fine, but that's not what happens here.
Yeah, I know. But that's what I'm saying is like I like that to be the option used more frequently and stuff.
Totally fair.
I love Ruby. I just love her so much. I love how she is just not gonna sit on the sidelines. Crow keeps telling her, stay back, stay away, and she's like, fine! Proceeds to, like, get a sniper position and starts taking pot shots at him. Constantly, like, trying to swoop in, trying to get involved, trying to, like, fight alongside Crow. And it does end up, like, causing problems, but it also ends up working out because she manages to cut Tyrion's stinger off. And thus we get our very first bitch of the series.
It's like, oh, they can say that now.
Also, is this the only time that word has been used? I know we get plenty of dammits.
I'm surprised nobody ever calls Blake a bitch or Weiss a bitch at any point. Like,
I mean, we have.
Yeah, that's us, though. I'm talking about the show.
No, I guess they don't.
Yeah, I don't think so. I'm drawing blanks. I just like the fight. It's just really fun, really dynamic. Not the only thing that happens in this episode. We also get Weiss's punishment, which is a slap in the face and her being disinherited. Whitley is now the Schnee heir, and he's being all smarmy about it.
Excuse me, media. He is now the Schnee heiress.
He's Schnee something.
Jesus Christ.
If you could ever call a character a vagina, Whitley is a vagina.
For now. We also get the drop of a name that you married into, which would have hit so much better if a week earlier it wasn't already revealed in a World of Remnant.
Oh, yeah.
But, fortunately, I don't think I watched that World of Remnant, so when I first watched it, it did hit that hard.
Yeah, it does make the position with the whole Schnee legacy a little more clear-cut, honestly. Maybe would have been more narratively satisfying if he was a Schnee and was also a dick. But luckily, Willow is also not much better morally, so it does manage to maintain that, like, level of intrigue and that level of nuance. Like, what does the Schnee legacy even mean? And how Weiss is going to be the one to define it, rather than being defined by it. Weiss just such a good character, such a good moment for her.
Well, I think even in like the case of Jacques, the Schnee legacy at that point would essentially have no definition because, you know, he had taken over from a guy who would have had it defined as like expeditionary stuff and advancements in technology and shipping routes and stuff like that, the very explorer focused thing, whereas his would have been like cold bureaucratic accounting that could get the most money out of it. In terms of like Schnee legacy, the only definition of it would just be the words itself. They have really not any solid meaning behind them if you look at all the people who have laid claim to it over the years.
Yeah, there are a few throwaway lines that hint that even though Nicholas Schnee founded the SDC, that the Schnees were already a well-established family within the Atlas region before then, but we just don't know anything about them. We know zero about the Schnees before Nicholas.
Yeah, so I would say that like trying to have that as a big thing is not, there's not a whole lot that you can make out of it. I feel like keeping it solely confined to the individual characters was the right move there, rather than having it be about their family dynamic dynamics rather than the family's entire historical dynamic seems to be the right move in this case.
Yeah, but then let's not forget that we get our third Oscar scene in this episode.
You know, I was trying to forget media. You didn't have to remind us.
No, I will always remind you of Oscar's existence whenever he pops up in this volume, because it is so bizarre that as this volume was coming out, all the peak episodes, the best episodes of this volume, are the ones with Oscar in it. And it's not because of him, it's just a fucked up coincidence that this little twerp happens to just pop up when the best, most exciting things are happening. Like the start with getting in touch with Team Ranger and the Geist fight. Oscar's in that episode. Finally getting to see Raven and the reveals there. And the bulk of Yang's character development in this volume. Oscar's in that episode. Here we get the Tyrion and Crow fight, the best fight in the volume, as well as a big chunk of Weiss's development for the volume. And Oscar is here. And one more Oscar scene, and it's in probably the best episode of the volume. I just find that so funny that otherwise great RWBY episodes are saddled with this fuck-ass subplot. But in this, Ozpin is trying to convince Oscar to go on an adventure, and it's not working until it does off screen by the time we see him again. Yeah, there's nothing worthwhile to talk about here. I just wanted to point out that Oscar exists still, and he's in this episode.
This is just the one. Was there no other scene with him until the last one this volume? Was this the second to last one, or?
This is the second to last, actual Oscar scene.
Okay, yeah, so the Oz car has not yet got rolling. This is the scene right before that scene.
And that takes us into the longest episode of this volume, and also the worst. A much needed talk. Which is so ironic, because it is not needed at all.
Yeah, and it's the least needed talk, maybe ever. This one, I was surprised. I remember not liking this, when we first saw it, and I remember not enjoying it. But when we were going through our individual episodes, the rankings that we've done so far, I remember not expecting this to be the worst episode. I thought Jaundice or Forever Fall would be the worst, or Black and White, which is the Volume 1 finale, or Breach, the Volume 2 finale. I thought all of those would be worse than anything in Volume 4. But fuck me, this is the worst episode so far. I'm not saying for sure it's going to be the worst episode in the entire series, but Volumes 1 through 4, I really do think this is the worst one. I mean, lore dumping in general fucking sucks. We already talked about that at the beginning of the show. The first episode, Ruby Rose, would have been arguably almost a perfect episode, or at least much better if they didn't do the lore dumping at the beginning. Every time, and RWBY as a show especially, is just extremely awful at lore dumping. And I've said this a million times, all the stuff they add throughout the show to try to make it more interesting and meaningful and and dangerous or whatever, and more impactful, all of it rings hollow, and all of it basically makes the show worse. If they had just kept things simple as they kind of originally had, I think it would have been much better. The other problem, we already knew all of this shit. We, as the audience, as far as I remember, we knew basically everything Crow says here. Why are they repeating shit that we already know just to get the characters' barely reactions to it? Yeah, they're upset and they're confused. Whoop-de-fucking-do.
Yeah, they literally have Crow explain the maidens and stuff off screen, and then have Jean and the others repeat the maiden stuff on screen. What was the point?
This is awful.
You almost had it right.
The idea of the gods is so fucking stupid. What did the gods add to anything? Fucking nothing. We also really didn't need fucking MacGuffins, the relics. Also, just completely unnecessary. We don't need that. We already have Salem. Why do you need more shit for us to worry about?
The main plot of the show just kind of sucks. All the interesting stuff in the show is all the interpersonal character drama, or the smaller scale stories, earlier in this volume with the Geist, or Blake and Son being on the boat and having to fight the Sea Fei Long, or oh, hey, this crazy dude is trying to, capture RWBY, and now we have to fight him. That stuff is cool and interesting, but, the relic stuff, the relic hunt, the way that it ties in with the maidens, none of that is interesting. It's all dumb, and none of it works.
So much of it doesn't make any fucking sense. Let's just break it down for a second. Okay, so the relics exist. That's stupid, but they exist. But then, the fact that Ozpin and the council and everybody in his inner circle decide to hide the relics in the fucking Huntsman Academies, probably the most famous locations on the fucking planet, the most obvious places to hide something, and then not only that, then have them defended by college students who are still training to become professional huntsmen. So they're not even the best fighters, and college students who don't even know that they're defending these important relics. How stupid can you get? Like this, it just gets dumber and dumber. It doesn't stop. That's like pointing arrows to the relics. It's like you're like, oh, it's here, guys. It's here. Here it is in a neon sign. That's like, here's where they are. It's really easy. Come get them. Just steal a maiden and you'll have it. Like, come on. What the fuck? It's so fucking frustrating. This isn't even getting to the Blake stuff in this episode, because the Blake stuff is some of the worst Blake shit ever in this episode too. I'm sure Media has stuff to say about the fucking lore dumping, but I still remember I quoted this because Media and I think Sock and I watched these episodes together after our last podcast, and I remember asking Media, I said, why does every volume have to have a 1 out of 10 episode? And Media says, because it's not a good show.
I remember that. It's our show, no, damn it.
I am always more on the side of defending RWBY rather than attacking it. But yes, like I literally just said it. The main overarching plot is probably the worst part of the show.
It is. And it keeps getting worse.
Yes, there's little smaller things that, piss me off, like some of the fights suck, or some of the characterization suck, or some of the character arcs suck, but none of that really impacts things later on. Like, as much as I harped on about Blake's motivations not making sense, that only really affects the first half of her stuff in this volume. By really the end of this episode, it never comes up again. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, Blake switches gears by the end of this episode. It makes no sense for her to switch gears when she does, but she does, and then she's like a tolerable character after that. The stupidity of Blake in episode 3 of this volume never haunts anything past episode 8 of this volume. It doesn't come up again. It doesn't matter. It's like a comic book story. You only remember the things that you want to remember. That's how comic books are written. Like, the writer only cares about or only references things that they think are important for what they are writing. And fuck any other bit of continuity that has happened over the past half a century of publication.
That's what the yellow boxes are for in the comics. They tell you to go watch this and to go read this comic.
Yeah, like, literally, I've been keeping up with Batgirl 2024, and there's been, like, at least 2 major reboots within DC since Batgirl 2000, but Batgirl 2024 feels like a direct sequel to Batgirl 2000, and just more or less ignores everything that happened in the 20 years in between those 2 runs, and for better. She's my favorite character, and I love her, but a lot of things that she was involved in between 2004 and 2024 kind of suck. Kind of character assassination-y, but it doesn't matter, because no one cares. Fuck it, we ball. RWBY is very much written by that, which makes it actually, honestly, in hindsight, makes it make more sense that it crossed over with DC, because RWBY is very much written like a DC comic.
God, I hate that.
Like, he's very much written in the same way that, like, Teen Titans have been written over the past 20 years.
Yeah, there's this guy who's trying to blow up the world, but we're a bunch of teenagers, so...
We're gonna spend a lot more time trying to be like, is Dick gonna dick down Starfire or Barbara in this issue? That's the real drama. Fuck Slade and whatever machinations he's got going on.
Slade's just sitting there like, am I a joke to you? Do I have to rape another teenage girl for this shit to go down? Like, what's going on here? Like,
I hate that I know what he's referencing.
Unfortunately, I know now too, because Media explained it to me.
Oh yeah, in our shipping podcast, I gave him the rundown on Judas contract.
Yeah, you get the whole Judas contract thing. I was like, oh, my life is not better for knowing this. Thank you,
it's
Media.
not better. It's not better at all.
Mm-hmm.
Slade's life was better.
Not at all.
And that's what matters.
God, Deathstroke is never not creepy, by the way.
It's made even worse. He's using his name.
They tried to make him a main Batman villain in the Snyder stuff.
It's so
Well, you know
worse.
what the story part of his name is about, like, that's...
I mean, his name is Deathstroke, to be
Yeah.
honest. That checks out.
So, getting this back on track, yeah, we get the exposition on the relics and the gods, but not anything that's actually important, just the fact that they exist, and it takes way too goddamn long. This exposition dump, by the way, is so egregious that they have a whole ass scene in between here.
And it's also terrible.
We actually have 5 scenes in this episode. 3 with Team Ranger, 2 with Blake. So we have the unnecessary exposition with the maidens, Jean being like, oh, they were using Ruby as bait, him being pissed because now he knows why Pura died, then the gods of light and destruction and how they created humanity and the relics, and how the Huntsman Academies are meant to protect those. And then it just cuts to Blake being a dumb bitch and not understanding the concept of unconditional love, even though she has had unconditional love most of her life. For the first 12 years of her life, she had unconditional love, which, 12 years, that's a long time.
And she still does now, though. That's the other thing. She still has it.
But she didn't have anyone in her life like that for the 5 years she was with Adam.
And whose fault is that? And that's the problem, though. Whose fault is that? Her own fault!
No, you want to know what makes it worse? She still did because of Ilya.
Oh god, you're right.
She still had unconditional love even then, but she just doesn't get it. And Gira's like, Blake, you're being ridiculous. And then Sun busts through the door because he was eavesdropping like a doofus. And then we cut back to Team Ranger, and we get more exposition. This time more about Crow and his semblance and how it's stupid.
It's how it's stupid and dumb and lame, and I hate it. It's like, you'd think, in how long this episode is, with how many scenes they have, you'd think there'd be something good they cut to. But no, each scene is worse than the last. It doesn't get better. There's no interruption of anything good. It's so fucking infuriating. It's like, Jesus Christ, like, one of the worst aspects of Blake's character is here. And then you get the worst aspect of Crow. This is like, Crow starts going downhill from here. And you have all this terrible lore dumping, and everything is so fucking awful.
Meanwhile, there's some important lore dumping that he could be doing that he's not. Tyrion is not after Ruby because of the maidens. He is not after Ruby because of the relics. He's after Ruby because of her silver eyes. And yes, we do get an explanation. Now, a lot of powerful people aren't happy that another silver-eyed warrior is coming about, but, like, he doesn't explain why. He doesn't explain what the powers do. Does Crow just not know? Did Summer not tell him at all? Did Summer not explore those powers at all? What? Why? It doesn't make sense. The explanation we really needed in this episode, if any, is more of an explanation on the silver eyes. But we don't get that in this volume, and we also don't get it in the next, when Ozpin is back. They have to invent a whole new character in Volume 6 in order to deliver us that exposition.
And it wasn't even that much exposition there from her, like.
And it's so bad that they even have Nora basically fucking lampshade the entire thing when she says, oh, now you're tired of telling us stories. Yeah, exactly. Fucking assholes. You literally have Nora lampshading us. That doesn't make it better. Really? And you guys have her say that line and you don't notice how bad that is? But wait! There's one more scene. And yes, it gets even worse. Because now we go back to Blake being a fucking asshole to Sun, her slapping him again and throwing his scroll, being a giant bitch, after, by the way, she just had a scene where her parents were, like, telling her she has unconditional love and all this stuff. Why she wouldn't realize that in the first place, I have no idea. We have no indication that her parents ever indicated otherwise than she would be forgiven or whatever. And Sun, okay, fine, he's eavesdropping, whatever, but he's still not being a terrible person. And then we have her throwing the fucking scroll, and it reveals that Ilya is there, and she chases after Ilya after just saying she wants nothing to do with the White Fang. And what does she do as soon as she sees a White Fang member? She fucking chases after them. And that's the scene that leads to the whole, all of the White Fang's plans are revealed on Ilya's scroll conveniently scene. So this episode is just nothing but pure and utter garbage from beginning to end. We have the worst of Blake. We have the worst of Crow. We have the worst of lore dumping. We have the worst of plot in RWBY, all in one episode. And it's like, oh my fucking god. Like, there's so much other great shit about this volume. But this episode is just evil.
Yeah, Blake slaps him twice, by the way, and he's trying to tell her something important. That he saw a White Fang person with a mask in town, and he was literally, like, standing outside the door waiting for them to wrap up with their conversation so that he didn't interrupt them in order to bring this news. That's why he was there. She's such an asshole to him, and never apologizes. Skipping a little bit ahead to episode 11, just to really punctuate this point. When we do see Blake and Sun, like, quote-unquote reconciling, Sun's great in that scene, but Blake is not. Like, Blake is still like, why'd you just stay around? Why didn't you just leave me alone? Like, she never apologizes for the way she's treating him. But yeah, Ilya spying on them, just being a creep, and it's just so, it's all stupid.
A lot of the stuff Blake does, I wouldn't be awful in terms of storytelling and writing if she had to actually own up to it all. But that's exactly the problem, is she never does. The writers, for some reason, how do they not realize? How do they not give her consequences for acting so shitty? What the fuck? It's so fucking retarded. It just blows my mind constantly. Blake wouldn't be so hateable if they gave her consequences and had her apologize and had her realize her issues and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like, I want to like Blake. Like, it's not that hard. You can make somebody do bad things and have us sympathize with them. But the problem is they have her do bad things and then the writers don't admit that she's doing bad things. Like, guys, you're actually really close to landing this plane. And then you just fuck it up so hard. And that is really, really fucking infuriating.
That brings us to 2 steps forward, 2 steps back. Episode 9, which is one of 2 episodes where we actually get all 4 main girls, and it is the better of the 2, but it is 3/4 of a good episode, because 3 of these scenes are decent, and one of them is possibly even worse than anything from episode 8. And so let's start with that, because it ties directly into where episode 8 left off, which is the Blake stuff. The rooftop fight is the worst fight up to this point. It is so ridiculous that Blake doesn't recognize Ilya until her mask falls off. Ilya's mask pisses me off. How is it sticking to her face? It has no strap. It just like magnetizes to her face anytime she puts it on. There's a lot of that stuff in RWBY, and it bothers me because, like, yes, whatever, it's animation, who cares? But like, a big central conceit of this show's character design originally was to make these characters easy to cosplay. That was part of Monty's vision. That was something that Monty was very adamant about. So when you have shit like Gira's stomach armor or Ilya's faceplate, it breaks that conceit, and I'm going to have issues anytime that conceit is broken. But the more egregious thing is the whole scroll thing. Why does it have the whole White Fang plot for the volume just on it? How did it magically materialize in Ilya's hand? How did Sun know it was going to be important? Why is any of this happening? It's all just so dumb.
It is. I mean, I already mentioned that in the previous episode. It's just so fucking convenient and stupid. It's such a bad fight scene. Ilya is so poorly executed this entire series. But the stuff with Tai and Yang is excellent. Like, I do like him pointing out like how much she relies on her semblance, and she's like, what's wrong with that? And he's like, because not everyone's semblance is a fucking temper tantrum, dumbass. Like, I love that. He's totally right. It's a good thing there. I think Weiss is, also good here. I think Whitley should be a little smarter about how he's handling things. He's being a little too obvious.
Whitley is also like 12 or 14, I forget. He's young. You might not have the full expertise of subtlety commanded quite yet.
This was the episode with the one comment that pissed me off and pissed media off too. What can a huntsman do that an army cannot, or whatever?
Well, apparently take out an entire army of robots. Like,
yeah, it's just like it's
also apparently Team RWBY and company are super heavy outliers in terms of huntsman capabilities. Like, apparently nobody has ever seen huntsmen that are this good. Jean is like the typical level of huntsman, actually.
For some reason I still don't like that, and I don't believe it.
It's very frustrating. Yeah, I don't like that at all.
Because it's just like, oh yeah, it's like all the typical strongest huntsmen are just fuck ass like Cardin Winchesters. Like, no, I refuse to believe that.
Yeah, they shouldn't be, at the very least. They definitely
Especially
should
when you have
be.
legends like, the Grim Reaper, you've got Crow.
Well, the legend needs something to stand out against. You can't have the foreground without the background, man, okay? They need to play off each other. It's like light and dark. Every truly great huntsman needs like a couple dozen no-named losers who just get easily beaten to make them matter more.
I just look at all the huntsmen that we see, like Aesop's, they hate them or love them. It's like they're still a cut above like a lot of the rest, especially with that fucking fishing hook. If you like compare them to like Mistral's fucking huntsman, then I guess,
What huntsman?
Yeah,
exactly.
They're all dead, apparently.
The last line of defense is the dude with the fucking dual disc, alright?
Dee and Dudley.
yeah, Dee and Dudley. It's like, yeah, I'm wrong.
Oh god, those chuckle fucks.
Their academy just cranks them out, I guess. They're like some low-tier guys that they just stamp their diplomas over there, I guess.
Feels lame. when power scaling Sun has nothing to power scale, it's just like, fuck.
Weiss' scene is fine. More of her dynamic with Whitley and how Whitley is just dismissive of the Huntsman, even though they provide a service to the world of Remnant, allegedly. Not much to say about that. And also not much to say about the Ranger scene at the end. They're at the crossroads. Rain really doesn't want to go to Kuroyuri. Valid.
Yeah, for obvious reasons.
For reasons that are obvious to us in hindsight, but Ruby doesn't know. Ruby doesn't know what their backstory is. And apparently Jean only has like a vague idea of what their backstory is. I find that kind of weird.
It's more like he doesn't know. He's just like, you guys have to, but like, I don't understand. Then like, as he's carting Crow in with Ruby, it's like, oh, I'm starting to understand why he doesn't want to be here.
But yeah, they split up like the Scooby Gang. Ruby and Jean go to Kuroyuri while Ren and Nora try to find a passageway up the mountain. It's an important scene, but not like a very substantial one. Helps get the ball rolling on what else goes on. I could see people saying like, oh, this was unnecessary because they could have just stayed together and got to Kuroyuri, but like it makes sense for Ren's trauma that he doesn't want to go there and only goes there because he knows Jean and Ruby are there and in danger. And it also like gives Ruby and Jean a moment to be alone in the next episode.
Ruby was more open to like open up about her shit if she's just like one person instead of like a whole group.
And then of course the best scene in this episode, and also the first scene in this episode, Yang. I love it. I love everything about this. I gotta mention the banging tree in reference to High Power.
Oh my lord. Love you, HP.
But no, I love seeing Yang train. This is one of those things where like probably could have done with a lot more of this, but also not really necessary because economic storytelling is really important for a show like RWBY that is on a budget and has like limited runtime and limited resources that they're working with. So it makes sense that like we're gonna summarize all of Yang's training in a single scene and try to get as much of the point across as possible in as short a time as possible. Very efficient, very tight. Fucking love Yang's outfit. I just love her loungewear look. I love her with the ponytail. I wish she would like rock that again. Maybe in Volume 10 in Vacuo she'll pull her hair up again. She just looks so goddamn gorgeous in this.
Yeah, it's sad that her depression outfit is by far her best outfit in the entire series, but it's true.
You got low hanging fruit there to operate with otherwise.
I'm someone who usually prefers the way Yang's hairstyle is. Like, I usually prefer characters that have that kind of like long mane of hair. But I don't know, just something about this era of Yang. It hits different.
Probably because her character is the best it ever is in this volume. I don't think the hair's better. Like, I hate ponytails. I think her hair looks better how it normally does. But the outfit is the best outfit she gets by far. We talked about in the outfit ranking. This is an outfit like an actual real hot person would wear. So that's why that's a good outfit.
It's very difficult to make leather jackets bad, but somehow she does.
She does. Well, they overcomplicate it. That's the problem. Is like they don't make leather jackets that look like actual leather jackets. They get ones that have like all these different colors and all this extra shit that is not how a leather jacket would actually look. If they just gave her a basic fucking Marlon Brando leather jacket, which is like the leather jacket that made leather jackets cool, basically, in the Wild one, you can look up that jacket. They gave her something like that, even if they just changed the color to brown, kept it that simple, boom, done. Fucking sexy. It would look amazing. But they don't do that. They always overcomplicate shit and make it look weird and fuck it up. It's trying too hard. That's the problem. And then here in this outfit, they're not trying too hard. They give her a nice, simple, it almost looks like one of those like Star Wars Cafe Racer jackets. It's short. The cargo pants, simple white sneakers with some purple laces to match her eyes. Nice touch. Simple orange like tube top, I think, or tank top undershirt. That all works great. It's the simplest outfit she ever has. And as a result, it's the best she has.
And that brings us to Kuroyuri, episode 10, which starts off with Oscar.
This one, I'll be quick. I will complain real quick because the problem with this one is that we just see him leaving. It's his worst scene so far because we skip over his character motivation and we never ever get it. I'm not going to say any more than that because I've already complained about it enough, but that is the problem. Like, who is he as a person? What led to this? How was he convinced? He ends up with the personality of a fucking boulder, and that's very frustrating. But then we get to Kuroyuri, which is, oh man, that is...
We also get Hazel in the Oscar scene.
Oh, who cares?
It establishes that Oscar recognizes Hazel later on. You already said everything that needed to be said about this. So 6 scenes in total. 5 revolving around Team Ranger. 2 of them are flashbacks, 2 of them are Ruby and Jean, and the other one is Ren and Nora. Ruby and Jean, they arrive in Kuroyuri, and Ruby doesn't know jack shit about Ren, so she's asking Jean, and Jean's like, I have a pretty good idea what's going on. Why he is not wanting to go this way. And then we cut to the first flashback scene with Ren and his mom, who has a name on Ren.
Its name was Ren's mom.
We got some delicious looking pastry PNGs.
Can I just point out there is one other problem that I had with this episode, which is that Ren's child voice actor is unfathomably awful. I mean, he is atrocious. I mean, that's some of the worst, might be the worst child voice acting performance I've heard in my fucking life. I mean, it is, they should have paid money to get somebody else in the booth to get that shit fixed. That's how bad it was.
Ren's voice is pretty soft. Couldn't he have just had him put on a kid's voice?
Yeah, honestly. That would have been better to have the non-professional voice actor put on a kid's voice. Probably would have been better than what we got. But I mean, the rest of this is awesome. Like, he goes through more of a character arc in this one episode than Blake goes through in the entire fucking series, okay? I'm not kidding. That's actually true. Because I love that they start off with Ren being this little fucking bitch. Like, he's a coward and he's a loser. And you see Nora getting bullied. I love tragic backstories. I'm a sucker for that shit. So I love that Nora's a street rat. Like, she's a street urchin. I love that. Because, again, it tells you so much about how much happier she is now thanks to Ren and her own efforts and all that kind of stuff. It makes it very meaningful. I love that. I think that's beautiful. I love when important characters are the ones that actually help each other make each other's lives better. And so Ren and Nora meeting like this is really beautiful. I actually like that Ren bitches out at the beginning and his dad, you know, basically shows him what like an actual brave person is like. And then you see Ren later have to actually be brave. And I think it's kind of cool that like the whole reason he even unlocks his semblance because he basically fucking has a panic attack because both of his parents just died. He's about to die. He has no idea what to do. And he just fucking panic attacks himself, his semblance. I like that. Like, that's very traumatic and it's very tragic. And that's a very sad way to unlock your semblance, but it fucking works. It makes sense for Ren's emo boy character. I think that fucking fits. You know, this is interesting. Like, you can literally pinpoint the moment where a character enters puberty because Ren's balls actually drop in that moment and he becomes a man. And
his semblance turns him Asian.
yeah, his semblance actually makes him go through puberty and he actually fucking grows up and is brave and actually goes and helps Nora. But you know what? That's fucking awesome. I love it. I think an interesting idea is like maybe he really is deep down still that much of a coward, but like his semblance is what helps calm him down and allows him to be brave. Whether that's true or not, either way, unlocking his semblance is what allowed him to be brave. Plus his dad, you know, motivating him and all that. And then he actually does something. He actually saves Nora's life. And I think that's beautiful. I like when characters save each other. And he does fucking save her life. And you can see in that moment, dude, she falls in love with him at that fucking moment. And I think that's also fucking beautiful and really, really cute. And they don't even need to see what they go through before. I love how it just cuts to them. They're still together. They've made their lives so much better. God, that fucking look that Nora gives him when she like has her hands behind her head and she is so fucking horny for him. That look she gives him is horny as fuck. And I love it. Like, again, and it makes sense given everything they've gone through together, what he's done for her, what she's done for him. It's a fucking beautiful story, man. I fucking love it. And we get an even better scene with them coming up in No Safe Haven. That's it. That's all I'll say for this episode. It's fucking perfect. I couldn't change a single thing. I remember like thinking about what to do for their backstory because I was a big fan of their characters. And I started writing a fan fiction about them at this point. I was already a big enough for Nora fan. And I remember getting to the Kuroyuri episode. I was like, God damn it, this is way better than what I was going to do. Fucking hats off to the writers on that one. Like, we know from the fucking Jeff interview, pretty positive it was fucking Miles and Carrie that wrote this shit. One of the two or both of them. You know, fucking good shit, guys. You fucking nailed it. You cooked so hard with Renora in this. Monty had no plans for them. Like, we know it was all them the whole time. Why do you think I became such a fucking crazy, psychotic Renora shipper? I mean, I already kind of was a big one. I said that before this episode came out, but this episode and episode 12 are like the big reasons why I still care about Renora so much. This was so good.
Yeah, I liked it.
Yeah, I like Ren and Nora's backstory. I like the Grimm. This is the coolest Grimm scene possibly in the entire show. I think there's others that might be better or more narratively satisfying overall, but this is really showing that the Grimm are a massive threat when there's no huntsman around. It makes you wonder, why doesn't every village have a huntsman on deck? Aren't there like hundreds of huntsmen on the planet, like with the logistics of Beacon Academy and the Vinyl Festival and the various schools and how many there are and how many kids had to be in each grade for this to all happen the way it does? And it's just, it doesn't make sense. It really doesn't make sense for why the huntsmen are spread so thin, unless the Grimm are a lot stronger and a lot deadlier than they have ever been portrayed as. My heart is with Lancaster, because they get a peak moment in this episode as well, with Jean noticing that something is wrong with Ruby, and Ruby actually like opening herself up and confiding in him, confiding in her own insecurities, and Jean giving her a pep talk and being like, you didn't drag us in here, we chose to follow you because you gave us hope, you inspired us to act. Very touching moment, very just definitive for their dynamic. Makes Volume 9 hurt. Dude, you praised the shot where Nora has her hands behind her head. I actually prefer the shot where she has her hands behind her back and she's like leaning forward. It's very Yotsuba coded.
That is very Yotsuba. Yeah, it is.
You guys
It
are
is,
quintessentials, oh my lord.
I am also glad for the Jean moment with Ruby, because it really cemented his true knowledge that Weiss was the girl for him the whole time, because obviously he wouldn't be following Ruby if it weren't for Weiss. Weiss is going to wind up with him. I'm glad that he was so clear about it during this episode, that that was actually the case, and that Lancaster is going to die forever in the deepest pits of hell.
You watched a different show than the rest of us. What are you talking about? What do you want about?
Hey, I mean, the White Knight shipper in me does also appreciate that Jean has a good relationship with his future wife's bestie.
That's completely unrealistic, by the way. This has never happened in the history of any relationship ever.
That brings us to episode 11, Taking Control, where we get caught up on all four girls again, as well as Cinder, who is doing her own training, vaporizing some Grimm, having a hard time, having a rough time of it, and Tyrion has a mental breakdown, stabs a Grimm repeatedly because he disappointed his goddess. I almost feel bad for Cinder, but knowing what I know now, I really don't. This doesn't go anywhere. This look that Cinder gives when she's seeing Tyrion have his mental breakdown, it never comes up again. We never see Cinder have this look on her face ever again, because she is so busy being just this cocky ass fuck up of this disaster of a person, this disaster of a girl failure, and it's kind of adorable.
Yeah. You see the vision.
She's prettier when she's angry.
Exactly.
Yeah, we get Yang. We get them vague posting about what Yang is going to be doing for the next volume. It's kind of dumb. Probably the worst Yang scene in the volume. We also get the worst Weiss scene in the volume too. I don't understand why Weiss is sneaking right past her father's office. Surely there's better ways around the Schnee Manor. I feel like it's just a way for her to eavesdrop on Ironwood, expositioning about the fact that Winter's in Mistral for now, but then Klein already knows too when he cuts in, and it's like, I don't know how Klein beat her to the secret passageway that's in the library, because he went backwards to attend to Whitley and then just, I guess, teleported. Like, I don't know how he caught up and passed her up in the time it took her to be eavesdropping on Ironwood and Jacques, whatever. And then we get the Blake scene. Blake doesn't apologize. Sun is good. You can pick your friends, you can pick your nose, but you can't pick your friend's nose. The whole plot of the White Fang stuff in Volume 5 is on the scroll. And then we cut to Team Ranger again, and it's literally just them showing up in time for the Nuklavi fight next episode. Not a great episode. It's got like one half-decent scene. The actual character development for Yang and Weiss is still good here. It's still interesting, but the actual scenes I feel like aren't that important. I feel like they're not all that necessary.
Relatively brief, just kind of in there, I guess, is what you're saying.
Anyone else got any thoughts on this episode, or just me?
No, there's really not much to say
really
about
not
that one.
much to say, no.
I want to get to the fucking next episode, because that's where I have shit to say.
No Safe Haven, the Volume 4 finale.
It's so good. I miss this Nora so much. Nora is the best she ever is in this scene. It's so fucking peak. I love seeing Ren actually get that mad because you can understand why. Like, this thing fucking killed his parents, and he's had to live with that for basically what, like 8 to 10 years, depending on the exact number. Who knows exactly, but basically almost a decade, right? Around how long we've been doing this podcast. Fucking hardcore, man. Like, that sucks. I get it. And he didn't want to be here in the first place, so you can understand why he fucking loses his shit, right? And the fight scene looks good too, by the way. Like, it's already a pretty solid fight scene, but for me, it's just like the character relationships here. The moment where Nora tackles him and literally slaps some sense into him. See, it's okay to slap characters if it makes fucking sense, you assholes. She literally has to slap some sense into him, and you know what? I don't have that. That's she needed to do that. He needed that because it really does, like, he does actually react to that and wake up. And I still think like some of the best visual storytelling the show has ever done, maybe the best visual storytelling the show has ever done, is when you see that this entire time Ren has been looking at Nora as this scared little homeless girl that he saved. That's how big of a reveal that is, because it's not like he blinks and sees her that way and then blinks and sees her as the adult she is now. No. It cuts straight to just him looking at her. And the fact that he sees her when we first cut to his POV, he sees her as the scared, crying, shuddering, punched over little street urchin girl. That means he's been looking at Nora this way this entire time. He has been seeing her this way since they met, and his viewpoint on how he sees her has not changed the entire time. That's what that means. And then he blinks and he finally, for the first time, sees her as who she is now. That is such a fucking powerful moment. And the crazy thing is, the more I watch this, the more powerful that scene gets. It gets better every time. First few times I watched it, I didn't quite realize how meaningful it was that he still saw her as younger, right? That is such a big fucking deal. She literally saves his life in this moment, because he would have gotten himself fucking killed if she didn't do that. The way she like says, I won't let it end not like this after all we've been through. It's very powerful. Like, it's very meaningful. We've seen enough of their characters. We see where they came from. We see where they are now. We see how happy Nora is now, which again is why it's such a disservice to her character what they do to her later on, because, you know, she's the one that at this point, as an adult, Nora is the one saving Ren's life. She's not the one relying on him. He relies on her in this scene, right? So all the stuff that happens later with her just is even worse, because she's the one in control. She's the one helping out. And it's Ren's problem for not seeing that yet. And now he starts to see that. I mean, they fuck up so much with their relationship after this at this point. The fact that they don't progress it in volume 5 is a big fucking problem. And in volume 6. If they had just gotten them together earlier, things would have been a lot better. I think they were so primed at this point. They should have just kissed. And if they didn't, they should have done more with them in volume 5 to actually push them together as a couple. I mean, they were literally sitting in a fucking house for who even knows how long they were there for, right? That's such a perfect opportunity for them to actually like be alone and discuss their relationship and actually come to some sort of conclusion, right? What's a better situation than that to develop that? And it's very frustrating that they didn't do that. But everything here is so good. Nora's little fucking shit-eating grin when Ren looks up her skirt. Fucking so cute and adorable, because you know she actually, you know she wanted him to see the goods down there, right?
Not the time.
Not the time, but she ain't mad. She ain't mad that he got a peek. She's like, I know what I'm advertising. I know I got some good shit down there. That's gonna help. It's gonna help. It's gonna get him attracted to me, you know? So I respect it, Nora. I respect the game. So all that stuff is fucking fantastic. Like the fact that they will not hesitate to die for each other. And I think that's beautiful. Nora wants to make sure he lives for her and for himself. It's just so good. There's so much great stuff here. This is like some of the best writing RWBY's ever had. This is one of those episodes, this plus Kuroyuri together is like, this is as good as a lot of other better shows and a lot of other better series and a lot of other better books or just fictional stories in general. This is where RWBY has legs as like an actually genuinely good show. Is it a good show overall? No. But the fact that it can hit those points is a lot better than a lot of other series. There are so many other series with higher budgets and even some of them more praise that never hit the highs that this show does. And the Kuroyuri and No Safe Haven combo, the Renora arc, is very good. Like, not just for RWBY standards. This is good writing. This is good characterization. This is good character development. This is just good storytelling straight up. And I have to give Miles and Carrie credit for that. It sucks that it didn't get followed through on. Maybe it can get saved in volume 10, 11, and 12, but at least we'll always have this. Fucking fantastic. Never gets old. This is my last thing I'll say. I'll shut up, I promise, after this. The one thing I have to point out is that when I was rewatching through the series for the first time in a while a few months ago, I actually skipped these episodes when I first watched through volume 4. And I went back after watching through like volume 5 or 6 or something like that, and then went back and watched them, because how much they fucked over Nora's character and Renora as a whole, it was painful for me to go back and watch how good they were here. Now I can watch it again, but like that, because I hadn't watched these scenes in like 3 years or more than that probably. Like that's how good it is here. It's sad that they fell so hard afterwards. At least this shit was good.
I think the only thing I would say about that is that, like, Ren feeling as though he is more responsible for Nora probably would have been a little bit better if, like, Ren was actually ever good in any fights. That would help.
Yeah.
Like,
Yep.
Other than that, like, it is a pretty solid piece to have their whole thing kind of not necessarily end on, but sort of lead into the next step that they never got to until they got to it in the most horrible way possible. I feel like that is sort of one of the biggest things about Volume 5 is that it did have to follow up Volume 4. I'm wondering if it was like in a different order, maybe Volume 5 wouldn't be nearly as hated if it didn't have to come right on the heels of this thing. Volume 4 is really good. I wouldn't say it's my favorite, but if I had to like rate volumes by what I think most people would like most, I think I would put 4 at the top.
I like this episode too. There's some sloppiness with the way the fight is directed. A lot of buildings and stuff disappearing in and out of existence as the fight goes on. I like Ruby locking in. I hate Jean's weapon upgrade. It's so lame and dumb. It further highlights how useless Ren's weapons are. This is his, like, big fighting moment, and he puts in so little work against the thing that he's supposed to be putting in the most work on.
Yeah. Like, bro.
Yeah, he gets the final shot, but that's about all he gets.
Like, he could have done more, but at the same time, it's more show a thing of like, hey, you don't have to do this alone. Even if we have to do the heavy lifting, we're here for you, kind of thing.
Graham disappears in a big poofy cloud of smoke, and there's still a whole, like, a 10 minutes of this episode after that. The Grim, I go back and forth on the new Clavi. Design-wise, it's so good, and it is unique. Like, they never rehash this Grim.
You don't see another one.
Same thing with the C. Fei Long, actually. You never see the C. Fei Long again. Yeah, all the character beats and stuff here were great. I actually really liked the moment with Jean and Crow. Pretty understated moment with them, because Crow was honestly talking some mad shit to Jean in Volume 3. Talking mad shit about Jean to Pyrrha. And this is him, like, letting things go and be like, alright, you suit yourself. No, you're a big man now. Ren and Nora together, finally. Hand in hand on the airship is great. Ruby's letter is really great. I love this whole, like, narration at the end. And I love that we get clips of everyone. Like, we see Oscar on the train heading to Mistral. We see Cinder practicing on Ruby in her Volume 4 outfit, even though Cinder has never seen her wear this outfit. Tyrion is either really good at describing things or managed to draw what Ruby looks like now, or it was just done for economic convenience of the production. They did not yet have Maya versions of their older character designs. They're recovering in like a hotel room, kind of opens up a minor plot hole in Volume 5 with how things are introduced. Yang's got her new outfit. It looks dope. She's got a Team Stark photo as well as a flyer for like a ship. Ty is also looking at old photos. Jean is kind of moping, kind of coping with everything that's happened, and Ren and Nora are there for him. Blake is resolved to make the White Fang great again. Yang arrives at Mistral. She's heading to somewhere. Vague posting again. Weiss is on the airship. She's getting smuggled. She has to... She has to sit on her suitcase in order to be able to look out the window.
Short queen!
I love it. That's such a good touch. And then, of course, we get the reveal that Lionheart is a rat and that he's in cahoots with Watts.
Damn you.
All while Ruby talks about her growth and all the shit that they've gone through and how much she misses her big sister and wishes that everyone was together again. Monkey's paw on that one, Ruby.
I wish Yang got to use the motorcycle more. She doesn't get to use that thing very often.
Well, she doesn't have it anymore.
Well, yeah.
She gets some mileage out of it in Volume 5, and gets at least one decent bit of mileage out of it in Volume 6. And then it goes in the tubes.
Also, by the way, I want to point out that I feel like Blake should really appreciate Yang more because, dude, that bike was not cheap. That's an expensive ass looking bike, man. That bike was at least like $7 or $8 even if she bought it used. And she fucking trashed it just to fuck over Adam for Blake. So Blake needs to be a little more appreciative of Yang. Just saying.
It's very unrealistic that Yang doesn't constantly complain about that, too. Like, she should bitch about that.
Yes.
That's like, if you've met anybody who has a bike, they will bring that up at any opportunity.
Where does she have it because she doesn't have it on the airship when they're arriving at Beacon in Volume 1.
I forget, does she just get it mailed there? Like, does it come in a box the same way as I did?
Did she rent out a garage in Vale to store her bike for whenever she's in town?
Maybe she has 2 bikes. Maybe she's got one there and one back home. I don't know. And they're the exact same model.
Bumblebee and Bumblebee Jr.
Bumblebee Tuna.
Beeblebum. Then we have the post-credit scene, which is kind of worthless because they just recycle it in Volume 5. Crow and Oscar meet. Fuck it. Fuck that shit. So that was Volume 4. Again, it's good. It's not my favorite volume. It's probably my third or fourth favorite volume now.
Yeah, I think it's third for me now.
It's at most my third. There's just so many things I don't like about it.
That's the thing. God, it's one of the most, like, the highs are so high and the lows are so low. The Weiss shit is so good. Yang is the best she ever is here. Weiss is arguably going through her most important, like, arcs here too. Renora are the best they ever are here. Team Ranger is absolutely fantastic, and I would say out of all the team dynamics that exist, they have the best team dynamic. And then, but we also have Blake being absolutely atrocious. And it's not even just her behavior, it's also like all the stuff that they reveal that just makes her worse by just association. Like, again, the fact that her parents are rich, the fact that her parents always loved her. All of that stuff makes her less sympathetic, makes everything more her own fault. The stuff with Ilya is terrible. And then, of course, we have, like, the fucking lore dump in a much-needed talk, which is just so ungodly bad. So the lows are insanely low here in this volume. I have it as a 7.5 out of 10. Like, the highs, if it was just all the good shit, this could be a 9 or a 9.5 out of 10. But there's so much bad shit that it can't. 7.5 might be high, but for me, that's where I'll put it, because there's so much good shit that makes me still enjoy this volume overall, especially because you can literally just skip a much needed talk and the volume becomes so much better if you skip that one episode. And that helps a lot. So being able to skip, there's no good shit in it, so it just makes it so easy to skip a huge amount of bad stuff. That helps.
Someone should do like a machete cut where they just cut out a bunch of the bullshit.
If they just cut out Blake and all of a much needed talk, man, this could be some really primo RWBY right here if they fix that.
So, dude, you want to do your ranking first, or do I?
I'll do mine first. So, bottom to top, and this is including the character short. By the way, real quick, so with the character short, my numbers rating was 76.5 out of 100, and without the character short, it's a 74.6 out of 100. Both of those are slightly higher than Volume 3, which is a 73.3. So far, every single volume, in terms of my number ratings, has actually gone up. I can guarantee you that's not what happens next volume.
Oh, no.
But anyway... Well, I already knew, but Media and I already watched it, and I have my numbers for that volume. So, worst one is A Much Needed Talk. Then after that is Menagerie. After Menagerie is 2 Steps Forward, 2 Steps Back. Then of Runaways and Stowaways. Next is Taking Control. After Taking Control is The Next Step. Then Punished. After Punished is Kuroyuri. Then Family. Then Remembrance. Yeah, then Tipping Point. Then No Safe Haven. And then actually the Volume 4 character short I actually have as the highest rating thing, because I thought it was fucking fantastic.
I'm still sad that like Kuroyuri is that low on your list. I thought it'd be higher still.
Well, because don't forget,
Oscar.
I was trying to actually shut up about it. There's a big Oscar scene there, and I can't do it.
Well, and remember, he always just binge watched it, so he only just now remembered, or just recently remembered, that that's the same episode. So my ranking is at the very bottom, A Much Needed Talk, and then Menagerie, and then Runaways and Stowaways, and then I have Taking Control. And then in the 9th spot, I have the 9th episode, 2 Steps Forward, 2 Steps Back. And then the next, 4 or 5, I can put in any order. But right now I have it as Next Step, Family, Remembrance, No Safe Haven, and Punished. And then I have Tipping Point, and then Kuroyuri, and then the RWBY character short. Because the RWBY character short is what I've been harping on about for the entirety of this channel's lifetime, which is that this is the shit that RWBY should have been doing always.
I think it's really funny that as different as a lot of our rankings were, and as great as I think Kuroyuri and No Safe Haven are, as great as we both think so many things in this volume are, we both ranked the fucking character short higher than anything in the actual volume. That's fucking funny. And I didn't know you did that. We didn't know each other did that. That's funny.
Yeah, it's a good little short right there.
All right. So, ready to wrap this up. Thank you all for watching. Join us next time when we talk about the worst volume in RWBY. And thank you all for, again, We're suffering for your sake, so like, comment, subscribe, and join the Discord, follow me on Twitter, and keep an eye out for some other things that are going to be hitting the channel as we go through this retrospective. So yeah, thank you all for watching. Bye!
See ya.
See you, Nara.